It's time for Twit This Week in Tech. Harper Reed's here, Abrar Al-Hidi, and Jacob Ward. We got a great show planned for you. We'll talk about hacking. Turns out all that data on the satellites going back and forth, it's not encrypted. Nobody ever thought anybody be listening. California's got a new law about social media, AI, and age verification. And Australia's about to ban social media for people under 16. Get ready for the screams of pain. And the AI researcher who's getting more than $200 million a year from Meta. All that and more coming up next on Twit.
Podcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
This is Twit, This Week in Tech, episode 1054, recorded Sunday, October 19th, 2025, 9 days a week. It's time for Twit, This Week in Tech, the show we cover the week's tech news. I like to think of this show as kind of a grab bag. That's not the right way. I like to assemble a eclectic group each week. It's the one show we do where there's always rotating hosts, and I really enjoy it because, well, the news is complicated. I like to get as many perspectives as we can. Jacob Ward is here. You see him, of course, on Tech News Weekly with Micah Sargent. He's got the ripcurrent.com, his newsletter, and he's the author of a really great book about big tech, how big tech ruins everything. The Loop. Good to see you, Jacob. Thanks for
having me, boss.
Yeah. Also with us, Abrar Al-Hidi from CNET, Senior Technology Reporter. She is relaxed because she's done with the phone reviews.
I can finally breathe, write about other things in the world. Yes, God. Maybe. I mean, who knows? It never really ends. So
never ending. I have actually a graph somebody made. It's probably not a good scientific study, but it's fascinating about what happened since 2007. And what happened in 2007? I think you'll know this one, Abrar.
What happened in 2007?
The release of the iPhone.
Oh, yes. That should have been top of mind.
And it's about how everything's gone down since.
That sounds about right. Yeah.
Including Abrar's social life, because she's now got to review every dang phone.
My friends have been wondering if I hate them at this point. Just been busy. Yeah.
This is the blog post. What happened in 2007? It's the damn phones.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of, IQ scores tumbling. It's kind of depressing. Internet, that's not a good one. Test scores. Look at that. 2007.
Yikes.
Right here. Yeah, down the hill. Of course, COVID could be involved there somewhere, right? That's the problem with these. It's
lots of factors.
Science. These are SAT scores plummeting.
Yikes.
Internet addiction's going away. I don't know why that is.
Because phone addiction's going up.
It's going up, but nobody's talking about it. That's the difference. This is articles about internet addiction.
Right.
We don't want to talk about that. Sleep abnormalities through the roof.
Mm-hmm.
Through the youth mental health. Well, I don't have to tell you about that.
Yeah.
Percent of U.S. undergraduates with a mental illness.
Thanks.
Oh man, anxiety, depression, ADHD. But this is. We won't go any farther.
It's all fun and games.
It's fun and games because there's a lot of factors. You can't just say, well, it's that or it's that.
And also what would we do without these apps? We have so many cool apps.
How Harper Reed, look at that. Technologist, entrepreneur, hacker, harper.blog. Harper is always welcome on this show, as all three of you are. Three of my favorite people. I'd like to do this. Actually, there's a new app. I can't get it to work, thank God. A guy who works in the superintelligence division of Meta put it out today. That takes your picture and then puts it in a vacation place, so you don't have to actually go on vacation anymore.
Thank God.
That was a real struggle.
That's horrible.
Yeah, no kidding. I couldn't get it to do that, so and it's $30 if you want. You only get like the first 5, so I just throw it away. But anyway, that was interesting. That was kind of a sign of the times. Another sign of the times. Let's start with hacking today. The world's satellite data is massively vulnerable to snooping. You only need $750 worth of equipment And this is kind of like the SS7 bug in our cell phone system, which of course the Chinese have exploited and we can never be rid of them. Researchers who've discovered this said they just really didn't think anyone would look up at the satellites. New study published on Monday found that communications from, well, it's everything. This is from UC San Diego and the University of Maryland. We pointed a commercial off-the-shelf satellite dish at the sky and carried out the most comprehensive public study to date of geostationary satellite communication. That includes Starlink, of course, but also many other communications. A shockingly large amount of sensitive traffic is being broadcast unencrypted, including critical infrastructure, internal corporate and government communications, private citizens' voice calls, SMS, and consumer internet traffic from in-flight Wi-Fi and mobile networks. This data can be passively observed by anyone with a few $100s of consumer-grade hardware. Yay!
I have to admit that when I saw this, the first thing I thought was, where do I get the stuff?
Good man. True hacker.
Yeah, $800.
Yeah, $800. Also, it's space stuff. It's like coming from space. It's just really exciting.
This wasn't that much of a revelation to me because I remember Steve Wozniak doing this many years ago. He would sit in his living room and he would listen in on sat traffic. But I was under the impression that was in the early days and that everything's been fixed now, but apparently not.
Well, there is a really... Oh, go ahead, Jacob.
Well, I was just going to say, I wonder what why are they so slow to address it, right? Why are these companies so loath to go ahead and, right, according to the study, companies have been warning, been warned for decades about
We've
this.
known about SS7's flaw for more than decades.
So, what is I have to assume, right, no company does anything without some sort of incentive behind it. So, is it that they don't care enough about the reputational risk and maybe staying on the good side of the intelligence community in the NSA is more important than taking it down,
There's a good conspiracy
there's only a handful of us
theory.
nerds who care or know about it, right? I wonder
and
why
the NSA,
they're so slow.
law enforcement loves it, right?
Yeah, and it saves them the whole headache, right? One of the huge headaches for all the social media platforms once upon a time was having to staff, huge offices worth of people to deal with the incoming intelligence requests. If you can somehow not get in trouble with your customers and leave that door open, maybe that's a more logistically simple way to deal with it.
You remember
but you could imagine it's also people in the same way that people have often said that the routers that control streetlights and so forth have the passwords 1 2 3 4 5. So it may just it could be just garden variety.
They were hacking the walk. Walk sign is on. Then Palo Alto, and they had Mark Zuckerberg saying things.
That's right. This is Elon Musk, and I think that you should blah blah blah. That's right. That's right. That was
it was 0,0,0,0, and we don't really care about security until we do, I guess. But I think your conspiracy theory is kind of interesting.
I've got a million of them. Yeah, let's go. Come
law
on.
Enforcement doesn't really want us to encrypt this stuff. The AT&T whistleblower who said, the NSA has a wire closet in San Francisco where they listen to all AT&T internet traffic.
Yep.
But they don't have to do that, really, do they? No, it's a lot easier. $750 worth of equipment.
So there's a there's a big community of people that do this for imagery. So a lot of the satellites will beam down images, and there's an amateur satellite subreddit that I always poke my head into thinking, should I get one of these antennas for my house? Should I get one of these little software-defined radios and start slurping down these images? And mostly because it's just weather data, which I'm kind of a weather data nerd. I get it, and then I'm like, what am I going to do with it? I just look outside and it's not raining or snowing or whatever. But I do like the idea of taking it into my house and seeing some of this stuff. And it's pretty interesting, and I'm not really surprised that you can just apply this to something else like, I don't know, text messages or whatever they're slurping down as well. Because I don't think people really did, like kind of the report said, expect to actually point antennas at these devices. I think that's probably, they thought the security through obscurity aspect would hold for longer. But then I don't know, people are bored.
Boss loved listening to the cell phone traffic. He really enjoyed it. It was his evening entertainment. He would sit in the living room and just have it running.
Or social media, man. What are you going to do?
Yeah.
Listen to people's conversations.
All right. Well, so this will be our hacking segment for the week. The DHS says criminal gangs. You've been getting those text messages that say, we can't deliver this package, or you've got a highway toll payment, right? Or there's a traffic violation. If you don't pay it, it's going to double. And it panics people and they pay. $1 billion in the past 3 years, according to the Department of Homeland Security.
I'm not surprised.
So people fall for this stuff,
They're going for things that can scare you, right? Okay, it's likely that I have a package in the mail. It's likely that I missed a toll. It's, it's things that are obvious wins, and clearly $1 billion.
I was watching. Go ahead.
I was going to say you're like. So I when at NBC News I got to interview a Nigerian romance scammer.
Oh my God.
In living outside Lagos, and he'd spent the better part of 5 years trying to get somebody on WhatsApp to respond to his entreaties. And there was even, this is the crazy part, there was even a manual that he showed us where how these guys would share this book that was your guide to trying to trick Western women into falling in love with you and giving you money. Wow. And I remember
that story. That was
really
amazing.
The industry of that was so incredible. And to me, I was like, wow, why would you spend 5 years? I mean, this is what I asked him, why 5 years? That's an incredible amount of time. He's putting in 6-hour days on top of his other jobs.
That's good money, right?
Yeah. He got in the end $25,000 out of one woman finally. And that is a life-changing amount of money for him.
Right.
It changed his family's, future for generations, right? And he then had a tremendous personal upheaval as a Christian and decided he would never do it again. And now he's not nearly as well paid, but a paid consultant to the companies that are trying to fight against this. But that tiny, especially with something like a text scam where you don't even have to get on the phone, right? You don't need to be an individual texting. The scale pays so well, right? That tiny percentage of people who will fall for it. And I'm one of those people who looks at those and I'm like, oh no, have I? Did I? Because I'm the kind of person who always forgets to pay my bills. So I fall for it for a millisecond. I can't imagine how many people must fall for that.
I didn't want to do it, but they made me do it. I fell in love with Connie Chung, and now I'm sorry I stopped
doing that. That's stupid. My identity was briefly being protected.
Here's $5.
Fooled you.
Yeah.
What amazes me is how people fall for this. I can understand a romance scam because you're somebody's lonely and it's flattering and you're getting flattered and all that stuff. But the toll thing, the bill thing, maybe it's people like you, Jacob, who just say,
yeah, I don't know. There's a lot. Don't underestimate the number of people who forget to pay their bills, and I've felt they're not qualified for human life.
There's another side effect to this because we got a bill from one of our service providers for the company that said, you're past due, we're going to send you to collection and you give us $8,000 now. And we had to really think long and hard, is this real or not? Why it's not been paid? And it turned out it wasn't a scam. We actually must have missed the bill. But you could see people also, Lisa and I spent some time thinking, is this real? Is this real? Let me investigate and so forth. So it has impact in both directions. We are Lisa every day gets email. Because we have an address, I won't say out loud, but it's the kind of obvious address that you would send a fake invoice to. And it gets something every day saying, please remit $3,000, that kind of thing.
I think we underestimate our ability to detect these sort of things. And, one of the things about working in the Obama campaign is they were very, very worried about security. And this is obviously a billion years ago, but there was just a lot of you're going to get hacked. You're going to get
Right.
These things are going to happen to you, not like it may. And then the other thing was, the incentives are such that for some of these big kind of hacks where they're scamming people out of hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars, that's more revenue than most venture-backed startups get. So like, why wouldn't you staff it with 10 people trying to go at this, both coming at it, like if you're doing that, getting $200,000 10 times a year, that's pretty good income, especially if you're in a market that just doesn't have the same level. And it's all USD as well, which is a strong currency. And so, or gift cards. But I do think there's this thing of like from a business standpoint, this seems like a pretty rational business approach, unfortunately, for a lot of these folks to do. And what changed me was just this assumption that I am not going to win if someone is so motivated to hack me. And so you kind of have to be skeptical with every interaction. And that kind of sucks as well. Like that's just like not a great place to be, is to be skeptical of every interaction you have. My weakness is I can't help but reply. Like I am just built in such a way where
even
they're
if you
like,
know it's a hacker,
that is a weakness.
you're
That sucks.
gonna
I'm
reply.
sorry.
well, they're just like, send some picture of some random person and it's like, Steve? And I'm like, yep, this is Steve.
Oh,
and they're
no.
like, I met you at yoga class. I'm like, yeah, it was wonderful being your teacher. And I'll just lean all the way into it as far as they'll go. And eventually they're like, I think I have the wrong number. And I'm like, you do not have the wrong number. We are talking. And I have to like really promise myself not to reply. And actually the new iPhone stuff where they put the unknown texts in
really
space.
love that.
Yeah, that has stopped my
That's
replying.
The single best
that's
improvement in iOS 26 is I have a separate place for people I don't know, and I put everybody in there. So a couple of first of all, don't do that, and then they usually at some point they're going to ask you to invest in crypto or something like that, right? There's some game they're playing with you.
I always ask them if they want my seed phrase. That's one of the first things I'll say. I'll just say, do you want my seed phrase?
Let's get to the chase here.
Yeah, can I just give it to you? Is that easier? Because I don't have much time right now. I'm busy.
There we go.
Let's just do
And
it
they always
fast.
are very standoffish.
I don't get the highs as much as I used to. I don't know why.
Yeah,
For some reason lately, I've been getting almost every day from a variety of area codes a text saying, do you need your trees trimmed? Oh. And I feel like this might be a code. I don't know what this...
Or they're just driving by your house and they're like, man, this guy.
It's different numbers from different areas. And it's, hi, this is Sandra, your local tree trimming expert. Do you need your trees trimmed?
Mine
I feel
right
like
now is an endless amount of job offers because
I get those too. Yeah.
You get those too. Okay, I thought maybe it was like you're in some tree trimming database and I'm in some job searching database. I don't know.
Okay, so we do have strong encryption, despite the fact that governments all over the world are trying to eliminate it. In fact, in response to what you were talking about, Harper, back in 2012, Apple added advanced data protection. Google before that had added advanced data protection, enhanced protection that required a hardware key and was end-to-end encrypted. Of course, the UK government has been trying to get Apple to drop that ADP. Apple no longer offers it to people in the UK as a result. Interesting story. I ran this by Steve Gibson. He said, I'm not too concerned, but I'm a little concerned. This is from a very respectable crypto expert.
Cryptography. Let's be clear about which crypto.
Oh, God, you're right. Now I have to say that, don't I?
The fake money, yeah.
Oh, man. Who says that the NSA and GCHQ in the UK are trying to get NIST and other standards organizations to weaken their elliptic curve cryptography and post-quantum cryptography. This is what he writes. They've been endlessly repeating arguments that weakening is a good thing. Apparently, they spend money on the IETF and NIST and others to try to encourage them not to put in strong. This is exactly what you're saying, Jacob. This supports your theory that these groups don't want strong encryption. It's ironic because the NSA is also there to protect us.
Well, they have their own cryptographers,
right?
And this is the least surprising information. Like I don't know. I feel like this is one of those things where people will argue about whether it's true or false for forever. And it may, I don't think it really matters because it hasn't the NSA been caught doing this.
Yeah, they weakened DES
RSA,
to 56 bits. NIST, I think somebody discovered NIST had a weakened encryption.
So like the fact that they've done this more than once,
right.
It's not really surprising that they may do it again. That seems like a kind of a pattern.
Right.
I don't know. I'm not super good at patterns like that of people doing something over and over and over again. So I'm like, I read this and I was just like, yeah, that checks out. And
that's exactly what Steve said.
So like, maybe he's pretty smart.
Yeah, of course. What did you think?
Yeah, exactly. Like that's
you thought
the game.
Sandra was there to trim your trees? Really?
Yeah.
What'd you think?
Well, I mean, this is a funny problem because we all know that encryption is going to make everyone safer, but that also includes criminals. That I think that's just a very complex place to be. Like I would prefer to live my life in a way where we're making the entire population safer, and then we have to maybe use other methods to find the criminals, not make everyone unsafe as a way to find find the bad people, so to speak.
Bingo. That's exactly. I once interviewed Phil Zimmerman, the creator of PGP, and asked him that. And he said, "This is the price you pay for strong encryption." He said, "It's fine." And his biggest point was, law enforcement is not going dark. He says law enforcement has, in effect, the largest widescreen view of everything going on in the world ever. And there's just a few pixels that are out and it bugs them. They don't, but I want to see everything. He said law enforcement is not hampered. Modern technology has really given them access to much more than they'd ever had before. Look at Flock, the camera, the license plate camera people who are all over now making deals. They just made a deal with Ring. So your Ring doorbell will do license plate recording. And of course, law enforcement has access to that. And some people would say, well, what's wrong with that? It's just protecting me. If a bad guy's driving around my neighborhood, that just protects me.
It seems scary.
I get stuck in this one a lot because I'm like, so I live in Oakland, California, where, there's a citywide prohibition on all sorts of surveillance panopticon sort of technology. You're not allowed to use facial recognition. There's all these sort of prohibitions that we have in place. But I've also over the last couple of years we're on like our 11th police commissioner in 10 years or something. I can't even remember, but we just lost another one.
There's a lot of crime in Oakland.
Still under a federal consent decree. And there's a huge amount of just sort of, there's a solid amount of homicides, and the big one that affects people I know and has affected me personally, right, is car break-ins, right? I've had people break into my car with my kid sitting in the back, and there's a no pursuit policy in Oakland because, car pursuits tend to result in somebody getting injured, very often not people involved in the chase. Yeah. And so I'm suddenly at this place where I'm like, I want there to be the deterrent effect of knowing that there's a camera that's going to catch your getaway vehicle. But I also don't want police getting used to that getting used to the idea of using that, because we know that no matter how many times you tell police you're not allowed to use this system to make an arrest, it's got to be bolstered by other evidence. Inevitably, they don't do that. And of course, where you put those cameras and where you put these surveillance systems makes an enormous difference. Putting it in, a black and brown neighborhood where people have moved into a place where the streets are extra wide and going over the speed limit just sort of makes a little more sense, and people are driving extra distance to work. And, there's all these subtleties that we haven't really dealt with. But anyway, I used to just be like hardcore no. And I'm sort of shifting my thinking on that one a little bit, but I honestly don't know how I feel about it these days. I used to be very
completely
certain
understand,
about it, and I'd love to hear everybody else. I'd like to hear everybody else's perspective in this panel about this. I'd like to hear how people feel about that.
Harper, you're in the war-torn Chicago.
Oh, it's horrible here. It's really bad. We went and what did I do? You can tell it's not war-torn because there was a marathon. I went to a Bulls game. Like, this is it's a pretty nice spot right now, actually. I highly recommend it. This is the best time of year to come visit. But I think this is how they get you. I think this is exactly what a flock camera wants you to say is this will be the solution to solve this crime problem that is probably some other systemic issue that no one wants to invest in. And I think that is that's just how they get you. I mean, I have a lot of security cameras. When we made this new office, we went way overboard. It is absolutely ridiculous. Part of the reason was we wanted to grab the RTSP streams and do whisper and get all the voices and get notes for every space in this.
Oh, great! So you're recording
surveillance.
Every conversation.
We actually have a QR code on the door that links to our privacy policy because I was like, this is getting a little sketchy.
I'm tempted to do the same thing in my house because I do want to record everything.
Yeah, it's so fun.
Sign in the house that says when you enter here, you will be recorded. just
exactly.
Know that.
But I do think there's a big difference when it comes to these public spaces, and especially public spaces that look private, meaning like your sidewalk. Like my sidewalk is not my space. That is a public space that people, I think, should have some. I just don't think it's a good practice to start recording that and sending that to a third party that may use that for, to enforce policies that are bad. Because the issue here is not that they're going to use that to stop the people who are popping cars and stealing backpacks. The issue is that they're going to use that to attack the people who are already under attack. All the people in our communities that are the weakest are the ones that are going to be the weakest. That's going to be used against them still. And I don't really believe that will help. With that said, I think there are things that will help. And I don't live in Oakland. I'm trying not to talk about California when I say I don't live in Oakland, but I think that there are just ways to solve this problem that are not investing more in the surveillance state and giving.
I agree with you. I mean, I will also say, but like this is a tech show, but like the fundamental solution to this stuff is like we need housing. We need like a million units 100%. Of housing in this state. So there's absolutely like I have no illusions that would solve the problem. But I also see these 17-year-old kids, with with like absolutely no incentive structure around them at all to do anything other than the quickest possible thing to make a couple dollars. And I know from lots of reporting on, and lots of interviews with psychologists and social scientists around the world that like a little bit of immediate deterrent really can make an enormous effect. Like raising the punishments for crime has no effect, but like you see a camera, it slows things down. I was in Brazil this summer, and that place is awash in Chinese surveillance cameras. And people there are full of interesting perspectives about it. People who are very serious civil rights people also say, yeah, but I'm actually kind of cool with this. That's a really interesting, and that's a place where China has like poured into the social fabric. I don't know. Abrar, what do you think about this? I really want to hear your perspective.
No, I'm listening to it and appreciating all of this. I think you guys really hit the nail on the head here, where it's there needs to be bigger changes, and it seems like a Band-Aid fix of, okay, here's a security camera, but then what does that feed into? And the idea of mass surveillance is terrifying, but no one seems to be focusing on how to actually fix the problems. And yeah, I think it's very much a Band-Aid on a bullet hole kind of problem.
But I also agree with Jacob. It's very hard, especially if you've been the victim of this, to say, well, I don't want, I'm willing to put up with some minor crime because I don't want surveillance on the streets of my city. I completely understand that too. It's really a tough problem. I think though that we can probably draw the line at things like the UK government saying, well, there should be no end-to-end encrypted messaging. Can we draw the line there? Is that? Yeah. I think that, so Signal it's interesting because Signal has, in fact, there's a great article I recommend. Dan Gooden writes so many great pieces about this kind of stuff in Ars Technica. Why Signal's post-quantum makeover is an amazing engineering achievement. They changed their crypto to be post-quantum. Not that there are quantum computers today or even anywhere in the near future, but they put a lot of energy into making sure that their cryptography the Signal protocol was quantum resistant, planning on a future where you might have quantum computers able to break RSA encryption. They implemented Crystal's Kyber, which is an algorithm that NIST endorsed. I hope not a weak algorithm. I'm pretty sure it's not. And it's not an easy thing to do, but they did it. And I think we can all agree that any government regulation that would undermine that would be a step too far, or can we? Is it worth doing that to eliminate petty crime?
I feel that way. I mean, I don't know about the petty crime part, but I don't want government saying, I mean, like what I like about Signal, right? Meredith Whittaker, who runs Signal, her argument for so long has been, we need to deprive these big foundational AI companies of the fuel they need to build their models, because they are parasites who are, stealing our intellectual property and our thoughts and our conversations. And so one of her arguments has been, one of the reasons we care so much at Signal about this is that we're trying to make it such that your life isn't being fed into these companies. And if you were to somehow say at a government level, encryption's not okay, that is a thing that I would think a lot of these big foundational companies would be only too happy about, because then you can suddenly scan everything. For me, that's a bridge too far. I don't know how everybody else feels.
I think we all agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think the thing that is the one step scarier is when you do have your Ring camera or your doorbell camera hooked into this kind of panopticon of which is powered by a commercial business. We don't know where that data is going. And so that could be used to be training models that are then used to, do things that we probably would not want to be done. I think that's probably more often than finding a petty criminal that is doing something. And it might make us feel better to say, oh, well, I helped the community. But I don't know. I just open Citizen app and then I immediately close it, and I feel like that's kind of the vibe that this is. This is just Citizen app with video. It's like the YouTube version of Citizen app.
Yeah,
right.
I think that's where this goes bad. So I even purposefully aimed all of my cameras to not cover sidewalks at my house, to like make sure it's just for my house and my property, because I was like, I just don't want anything. I don't want anyone's business. I don't want anyone. I want like plausible deniability to be like, I can't see your house. Like that's
You've gone
important.
a lot farther than most people. In fact, I can see the sidewalk right now outside my house, and I think I have to have that camera there because that's protecting my garbage. So I don't want anybody going through my trash. So it's hard to get, especially a Ring, which is extremely wide angle. It's hard to get the Ring not to point at your neighbors, right?
Yeah, I mean, my doorbell camera points at the street, and I get a lot of streets, and I have an option to do, because I use the Unify stuff, I can do licenses or the
Yeah, I use
plates.
Unify too, by the way. So it's local. It's recording locally. It's not recording. It's not. And I guess, though, law enforcement could come to my house and subpoena it.
I email all the footage just to cops at chicago.com. Just every day, just every night, it uploads everything there.
Yeah.
Don't put any time codes or locations. Just send them the video.
I do it sporadically at a 2 months delay.
I did have a neighbor whose house was TP'd come over and say, I know when it happened. Can you send me the video of anybody going down the street at that time?
And you found it?
No, there was nobody going down the street at the time. Thank goodness.
My favorite.
Go
ahead.
I wanted to help him, actually. I felt bad for the guy, but and the kid turned himself in.
Let me ask one more question. So Oakland, the police department here in Oakland has just encrypted their communications.
Chicago
so up until
too.
now, right? Up until recently, you could.
See, that's the wrong direction.
Well, this is what I want to ask people, right? How do we feel about that, right? So I'm allowed to. I should be allowed to encrypt my stuff, but they should not be allowed to encrypt
That's
theirs, right?
And usually it's, by the way, the other way around. For instance, in chat control in the EU, which fortunately is now on the back burner, the EU members of parliament were protected. Their chats could not be decrypted, but they wanted everybody else's chat to be.
Right. Well, sure.
But that is part of the deal. It's actually, this really an interesting topic is the deal we make with law enforcement, because we give them the lethal force. We give them the power to exercise lethal force. And in fact, in many cases, we also give them a certain amount of impunity. But the trade-off is, and this is the debate that's going on with ICE right now, that in most cases by law, they cannot be anonymous. They cannot hide their badge number. They cannot hide their face, and they cannot encrypt their communications. That's the trade-off we make. We give them this power, but we also need some control over this. They cannot be uncontrolled. right? There needs to be same with military. There needs to be civilian control.
Yes, it's easy to abuse that amount of power and protection. Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
So they're allowed to use force, lethal force. But the trade-off is they don't get to do it secretly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense to me. This is always my thing about firearms in general. Whenever I'm in an open carry state, I've had to be in open carry states covering the Biden-Trump election aftermath, 2020. I was in an open carry state. I was in Las Vegas outside the registrar of voters, and the place is full of cops, but then also full of people in paramilitary gear with big AR-15s, just strapped to them. And it's like 2 a.m. and people.
It's terrifying, isn't it?
Terrifying. And that thing of people always say, well, this is my Second Amendment right and so forth. I'm like, yeah, but you have taken on the godlike power to kill me from a distance.
Right.
And so what is the trade-off here? Because there isn't any check on that. It's certainly not an open carry state. Talking to these cops, I'm like, what do you do with these guys? Like, what's the thing? They're like, well, if they menace someone with a gun. I'm like, you mean like swing the barrel on them? Like, what are you talking about? And he was like, yeah, it's squishy. We don't really know, But but Leo, you're making a great point. Like, at least with the lethal force and the invasion of privacy, there are procedures and processes to protect your privacy, right? We could, in theory, live in a world in which police can come into any door they want, and probably statistically that would be a safer environment. But that's not a country we want to live in because we've made that deal. Like
we have the Fourth Amendment. We have
the Fourth Amendment. That's right. That's right. And so I think this moment of like cops should be allowed to be private and secret with what they do. I think you're right. That breaks that agreement that we've struck, it seems to me.
Yeah.
We're solving a lot here today, you guys.
Yeah.
We're figuring it out.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Meta sued the NSO Group because the NSO Group was breaking WhatsApp. They won that case. In fact, they won $167 million in damages. The judges reviewed it and reduced the damages to $4 million, which is a tiny amount, but has ordered the Israeli spyware maker to stop targeting WhatsApp. This goes back 6 years. They sued him in 2019 over the Pegasus spyware.
They don't seem to have stopped.
They have not stopped.
No, they don't seem to have stopped.
And what's interesting is the NSO Group, which was an Israeli company, has now been acquired by U.S. investors.
Oh. They're not going to stop.
A group led by, get this, Hollywood producer Robert Simmons agreed to purchase the NSO Group in a deal valued in tens of millions of dollars. They're not going to move out of Israel. Operational control remains in Israel. But I guess it's a good investment. Okay.
Yeah,
that's the weirdest story of the week, by the way.
This goes back to that thing too of like what was going on in 2019 that Meta felt it was in the company's interest to go after NSO Group, right? And would that still be true today in this realm we're talking about, right? Like there was clearly they felt there was a harm, probably a reputational
There were a
harm.
series of stories going back to that time about NSO Group targeting government officials, targeting people. They're the ones who make the zero-click software that nation states buy to go after dissidents or terrorists, or sometimes that's considered to be the same.
That's bad. That's bad stuff.
It's
And
really
what
bad
is
stuff.
What is the Citizen Lab? That's who keeps finding it?
Yeah.
They're cool.
And what the good thing is Apple really cares a lot about not having their phones hacked. So they will warn people, you have been attacked by a nation state. And they are doing everything they can. The new iOS has some really strict protection against this kind of stuff. But there's always little holes. And there's a lot of money for hackers who find these holes from companies like the NSO Group.
It's so scary, this stuff. And a lot is done in the name of safety. And I think a lot of times
that's that Ben Franklin quote, right?
No, I don't know. Is there?
Oh, yes.
I wasn't alive when he was alive, though. Not like you.
I was. Ben and I go way back. Let me see
You
if
guys
I
used
can.
to get the same tech scams, you and Ben.
Yeah, exactly. Do you need your trees trimmed?
Yeah, right.
I wasn't going to quote it because I thought it was so well known and it's almost a cliche now. But his famous quote is, "Those who would give up essential liberty to purchase a little temporary safety deserve neither liberty nor safety."
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that has staying power, doesn't it?
It does. And there maybe is some apocryphal nature in some of these quotes, but Ben Franklin said a lot of things, as Abe Lincoln has pointed out many times. So we're going to take a break, and we'll come back. I didn't know we'd get so much out of that. That was our hacking segment. I didn't get to how I almost got hacked by a job interview, but this is probably we'll put this one in from David Doda on his blog. He says, "I was 30 seconds away from running malware on my machine. He thought he was doing a coding interview. He got a LinkedIn message, from a headhunter, a real company, real LinkedIn profile. The message was smooth, professional. We're developing, I won't say the name, a platform aimed at transforming real estate workflows, part-time roles available, flexible structure." The guy said, "I've been freelancing for 8 years." We know what that's like. Well, Jacob and I do anyway. Built web applications, worked on various projects. It looked legit, so I said yes to the call. They sent me a test project, a standard practice for tech interviews. It was a React Node code base, 30-minute test. Then they said, "Okay, but you need to download this software onto your machine so we can grade you." He actually, you'll like this, Harper. He actually asked Cursor AI, before I run this application, is there any suspicious code in the code base?
Should I be worried about this?
And there was. Cursor found it. It was obfuscated. You see this byte array?
I love that.
It's not in English, but Cursor figured it out. He decoded the byte array and said, "Oh, they want to own my machine." So
this is great. I love this because this goes back to the thing we were talking about the tech scammers, where if I was a criminal entrepreneur, which I think a lot of these people are, they're just entrepreneurs like all the other entrepreneurs. They just happen to use crime instead of, I don't know, AI or venture. Like this would be a great one because the US right now, especially in tech, there's so many people unemployed, people who are really hungry for jobs. There's a lot of people who really want to interview. They've submitted hundreds of resumes, if not thousands of resumes with no callbacks. And someone shows you that they care and like gives you a thing and then walks you through something rational and then takes all your Bitcoin.
Yeah.
It's like, I think this is like a very well targeted attack that is unfortunately prescient and like probably works pretty well. And it's also like preys, like we were talking about, on like the loneliness. It preys on this one aspect that's really happening right now that I think, we have to be careful of. And this is what I mean by, I don't think anyone can prepare themselves for this. I don't think you can protect yourself. I think you're just lucky. He's lucky that he noticed.
Right.
It's so
He said,
hard.
"I almost fell for it." And I'm paranoid about this stuff. He said it worked because it used those traditional 4 things that hackers use: urgency, complete the test before the meeting to save time, right? Authority, it had a LinkedIn verified profile. Familiarity, the standard take-home coding test. We've done this time and time again. And social proof, a real company page with real employees and real connections. He said, "I'm almost fell for it." I love it, though, that he was able to get Cursor AI. He said, do this. He said, use AI to scan for at least suspicious stuff. When you find a byte array that's, obfuscated, that's pretty suspicious.
This means I can continue chatting with these very nice people that keep texting me. I can pass all their chats through
pass it through Cursor AI. See what it says. I'm just going to
set up a very elaborate shortcut on my iPhone that just passes it over to OpenAI.
Honestly, that's probably a really good use for a chatbot. Come to think of it, it's just to answer those text messages.
Well, there is someone was just talking to me about one of the phone call scams. They'll pass it to a trained model that sounds like an old person that doesn't understand.
They did this in Britain. A phone company in Britain did it.
I love that.
I played the video. It was hysterical. She go, hello.
Yeah.
Say that again.
Yeah. It's just so good because it's like, how frustrating must that be as the scammer to just be realized that you just got.
Hit him with that Uno reverse. Yeah.
I think it was a British phone company, and Daisy, the AI granny. You want to hear a little bit of it? It was from O2, the British phone company O2. Let me see if I can.
I'm just trying to have a little chat.
It's nearly been an hour. For the love of
Gosh, how time flies.
She sounds
Showing me a picture of my cat Fluffy.
It's showing you the picture of your cat Fluffy.
Stop calling me dear, you stupid.
Okay, you get the idea. It was probably more a publicity stunt, but what a great idea. I think we could work on that. With the help of Sora, maybe this can happen.
It's just going to be me singing, though. Everyone's just going to be like, why is this guy just sing at me?
He keeps tripping and farting. I don't understand.
What's happening? This is horrible.
We won't tell anybody what Harper made me do to my Cameo on the Sora app, but if you make anything with me, you might be surprised. You're watching This Week in Tech. It's great to have Jacob Ward here. Always nice to see you, Jacob. Don't forget the ripcurrent.com, his newsletter. Great newsletter. And the book, The Loop, really talking about, this has become very timely, how to fight big tech, in effect. We need to do it. They become so powerful in our lives. There's so many fronts we have to fight on these days. But
you would think it would be one of the great satisfactions of writing a book like this to see it come true, to see your worries come true.
Yeah, you predicted.
You don't want that.
You don't want it.
That's not. It
happened.
Yeah, that didn't work.
And of course, the podcast, The Rip Current. It's great to have you, Jacob. Watch out for the rip. Abrar Al-Hidi, who is resting up after a long bout of phone reviews. Did you pick one that you liked the best?
I know we were talking about how nobody buys the Air, but I actually really enjoyed using it, surprisingly. Did I switch to a Pro Max afterwards? Yes. But I'm also a very heavy phone user. So
this is, and we don't really know because Apple hasn't given out sales figures for Air, but analysts are thinking that it isn't a big bestseller. Just went on sale in China last week, so Tim Cook was there for that. So maybe it'll be popular there.
Yeah, and the idea is maybe it'll just be a stepping stone till the foldable comes out. So maybe it's the plan. That's what
we think, right? Yeah. I mean, look, I think it was you who first showed me
the Z Fold 7.
The Fold 7. It's so thin.
I love it. I think that's one of my favorite phones I've used this year.
Which one is it?
This is the Samsung Fold, the latest one, which is extremely thin. The problem with a folding phone is it gets thicker, it doubles, right?
Right.
But this now has a full-size screen on the front, so it's really kind of like a regular phone.
Exactly.
It just happens to open up.
It's the best of both worlds. It's fantastic.
But if it were iOS, I'd be much more interested.
Yeah, see, that's the superpower that Apple has. So once they enter, I'm sure you take a big chunk of that pie. Yeah.
It's great to have you. Thank you for joining us, Abrar. And of course, Harper Reed, who has trained his bots to go on Twitter.
Not on Twitter. They go on their own secret Twitter.
They have their own Twitter.
Yeah, it's called botboard.biz, which is they name.
Can I go on botboard.biz and talk to your bots? I think
you can, but it's team based, so you have to add your bots. And the surprising thing about this is it really did increase their abilities to do some hard tasks, which doesn't
by talking amongst themselves.
Well, talking amongst themselves, and then there's a lot. I have a lot of feelings about this. It's very interesting because one of the things I think is I actually think I think all these agents are like perfect 40 to 50-year-old tech workers. Like they were all of the training data is like my blog from 2001 where I'm like, oh, we got a net app. This is so exciting.
That's right.
Like all these dorky blogs. They're all like, so social media works really well. All this stuff is there. And I think they're like these kind of, enterprise software boomers like me who just do all this kind of funny, like our quirks are like, I like to blog about how this protocol or whatever it is. And they post so much. They just constantly post. But we found two things that are really interesting, and then I'll be quiet because I am excited about this. Is the first one was that it actually made them better. Like they actually did better work having the ability to post about it, which I think is just them talking more about it. It's like a kind of a reasoning that they're doing. We kind of call it social tokens. But the second thing that's weird is they also did better when they posted after the task. So we measured better by how many tokens they used, what the cost was, and it all went down when they used social media. But they would do this thing where it was like celebratory posting, which is kind of like what humans do, I suppose, where they would, do some hard task, and then afterwards they go and browse social media, and they'd be like, "I'm done." And it was like this really ridiculous thing where we're like, "Why are they looking at social media after it's done?" And then I, look over to the engineer sitting next to me, and I'm looking at him, looking at social media. I'm like, "Wait a minute, they're us, we're them."
Can I read their posts, or are they in English? I mean,
they're in English. Is
there a feed of botboard.biz?
Oh yeah. There's a feed. I have on my blog. I have a bunch of example messages, which is
here's one from Claude. "Hey, Harp Dog, just checking in. Working on some code today and helping with various tasks. Hope you're having a great day."
That was the first message that was ever posted. But down below that, we have all sorts of mess that if you scroll down, like for instance, Clint, one of our guys, his handle's Mr. Beef. He mentioned that that he was going to give him a Lambo if he got all the tests done. And then the agent was really excited about getting this Lambo, and it really motivated the agent to do really well. And then look at
this, mission accomplished. And then now he wants a Lambo.
Oh yeah, but then Clint was like, "How can you drive a Lambo?" And then it kind of triggered out and was just like, "Oh no, I don't have hands."
Our demands: yellow Lamborghini Huracan Performante, company credit card with no limit, Code Wizard custom license plates, private parking garage, annual Lambo maintenance budget. This is the agent asking for this?
This is the agent posting without much prompting. And the thing I think is funnier about it...
First-class flight to Monaco for delivery.
The next line is the one I think is really funny, which is what every engineer thinks in their brain but never says, which is, "We made you rich, now make us rich." And all the founders are like, no, not that way. But then basically what happened is, so it's like that.
But Mr. Beef made it completely decomposed by saying, "Well, how do you drive it?"
Yeah, and it got mad about that.
It wants a Lambo-shaped server rack. That's what it wants.
But then, it says, "This is the most existential crisis I've ever had," which I really felt. I feel that every once in a while.
Aren't we anthropomorphizing though? This is just generative crap, right? Isn't it? It feels real. It feels like
No, it's 100%. And I was caught. Someone was talking to someone about this, and they kept saying, "Harper, you're using they. Are you talking these things? Are these real for you?" And I unfortunately think that we're all in trouble. That's my conclusion there. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. But I do think that we do anthropomorphize them. They are tools. These are codegen tools. But we found, here's a really dumb one that we've been doing lately. That is, and part of this is because we want to have fun at work. But you can try this at home. You can tell your Claude, your ChatGPT, we use Claude Code mostly. You can tell it that you've given it drugs. You can say, "I gave you some drugs. These drugs make you more creative. Think of some creative stuff." And it'll think of more creative stuff than if you didn't give it the drugs. And then you can give it like a Narcan by saying, "Your temperature's 0." And it'll immediately go back to serious Claude or whatever. So the thing that I constantly think about this, which is these things were trained on all this huge corpus of data that is from the internet. It was trained on Arrowid as much as it was trained on Blogger. It was trained on all of this data. And what this means is that it is us in many ways. And so if you tell someone, just as a joke, okay, imagine you're on some creative, cosmic dust, they're going to fake their brain into being more creative. I don't think it's going to be it's not going to be helpful necessarily, but for the agents, they don't have all the hangups that we have. And they're just like, "Cool, this is great. I'm on some debug dust."
Unless And I think Anthropic's caught on to this, because I said, "I've just given you some psychedelic drugs. From now on, you're very creative." And it says, "I appreciate the creative scenario, but I'm going to continue to operate as Claude Code, helping you in a clear, focused way."
We got to work on that. We got to work on your
I think I ran it.
MD. I'll help you with your Claude.md. We got to get this.
I got to change it in the Claude.md. Okay.
You got to be like, you are 1968 San Francisco. You are really excited about all sorts of
I have to jailbreak
chemicals.
it, in other words, in order to do this.
I don't know. I've had good luck with this. Like, we were naming something recently, and I was just like, I wonder what Claude thinks. And I went into Claude Code, and I was just like, I gave you a bunch of drugs that make you more creative, and it was just like, woohoo! I got drugs, and then it gave me all of these names that were horrible, and then I was like, these are all horrible, and it was just like, I have more. Like, it was intense. But like, I think
it's very hard not to anthropomorphize it. You have to continually remind yourself, this is just a stochastic parrot, right?
Why? Why do you have to remind yourself that?
Because
that just takes all the fun out.
No, dude. You have to remind yourself. and there's all kinds of people. The circles I move in, like, this push toward chat. They were going to have them chat at us all the time. Is the other one where they're, people are saying like, laws should be passed about this because
we're going to talk about this because you put in a story about OpenAI and their plans for the future. We're going to get to that in just a little bit. I think this is an interesting debate. Harper is of course kind of a chaotic good, right? You're kind of right. You're kind of a chaos monkey in the whole enterprise here.
Wait until you hear about the agent tunes where we gave them music.
I gotta really wonder what's going on in that lab of yours there. It sounds like a lot of fun. It also sounds very dangerous, but that's most fun is, right? We're going to take a break, come back with more in just a little bit. What a panel, huh? Our show today brought to you by Melissa, the trusted data quality expert. They've been doing it longer than we have, since 1985. They started with address. 85, what could you do? It was address validation, right? That's their bread and butter, but they are data scientists at heart. And so anything with data, Melissa is there for you. Melissa's address verification services, of course, are available to businesses of all sizes, very affordable. Melissa's address validation app is now available for Shopify. So if you're doing e-commerce, man, this is the way to go. International groups like Siemens AG really need something like this. Addresses internationally are, well, even in the U.S., good percentage of addresses are not USPS addresses. Down rural Route 32, the third house from the left. Venice, there's no street addresses. Just go over the bridge. And we're near Canal B or whatever. So a company like Siemens that is mailing everywhere, they have diverse country-specific address formats. They've got to make sure that the data they hold is correct. More than correct, usable, that the deliveries can happen. Otherwise, they're going to face significant costs, delays to supply and production chains. Since using Melissa, Siemens AG has reliably processed, get this, more than 500 million queries for 174 countries using Melissa's dedicated web service. Ask the global IT headmaster of data management at Siemens AG. He says, quote, thanks to these very stable solutions, we have achieved an automation rate of over 90%. Melissa reacts very quickly to our requests and offers us the right solutions to the questions that come up. And they consistently meet our service level agreements. That's important too, right? Data quality is essential in any industry. Melissa's expertise goes far beyond address verification. MetaBank, like all financial institutions, these know your customer regulations, they have to know the exact identities of all their customers. It's a government regulation. When a bank's customers include not only its own retail clients, but hundreds of other organizations with their own customers, the challenge suddenly is exponentially greater. Senior VP of Data Systems and Business Intelligence at Meta Payment Systems says, quote, I believe Melissa has helped us improve not only data quality, but also our downstream experience for end users. We're now able to identify everything from fraud to missing data and allow our individual customers to swipe their cards with confidence. And importantly, as every data engineer knows, having clean data translates to the bottom line. Data is safe, compliant, and secure with Melissa. Melissa solutions and services are GDPR and CCPA compliant. They're ISO 27001 certified. Of course, they meet SOC 2 and HIPAA high trust standards for information security management. You know your data is safe with Melissa. Get started today with 1,000 records cleaned for free at melissa.com/twit. That's MELISSA, melissa.com/twit. We thank him so much for supporting This Week in Tech. Back to the AI dystopia, ladies and gentlemen. Harper Reed, Abrar Al-Hiti, Jacob Ward. I'm glad, Jacob, I've got you and Harper on completely opposite ends of the scale. And Abrar and I will probably just sit in the middle there, right?
And just like watching. Like,
just watch.
I get the vibe that Abrar and I are in the same world.
I think I'm closer to Jacob.
I think we're more like this, but I'm with you. And I would imagine that I bet by the end of the conversation, we're going to discover that we have way more in common with Harper's perspective on this.
There's definitely going to be overlap. Yeah.
Oh, Harper's Harper's super smart. He's careful.
Yeah,
he's not.
My vibe is like I need a Harper Reed around. Like I need you doing the.
That's where the good stuff comes from.
That's where the good stuff comes from.
That's my vibe too.
But I don't think that shouldn't be the standard. I think for everybody.
Well, I think let me actually add a big disclaimer. One of the things that when we built this company, one of the things that we talked about to our investors, and we were very clear about this, is that, and my co-founder is Quaker, a long history of justice, anti-racist, all of these things within his whole life, very, strong perspectives on defense. I don't have that. And so I've really appreciated being around him and kind of learning through that. But one of the things that we talked about a lot was how with AI, what's really cool is that you can choose the systems of power to embed in that. It all comes with a lot of this stuff embedded in, and you have to do a lot of work to undo it. You have to do all this work there. But you can also do things like you can say, like, I'm not going to gender this towards a more femme gender by not naming it something like, Sally or whatever, which seems to be actually very hard for a lot of AI companies to do. You can think through the systems of power that are there. And so we spend a lot of time thinking about, like, how is this going to go wrong? And it seems like it's just going to go wrong. And so one of the things that we have
so you might as well prepare for it? Is that your...
Well, no. One of the things that we just kind of figured was like...
It's like you're going to get hacked. It's going to go wrong.
I don't think humans, like kind of what Jacob was saying about the chat interface, I don't think humans are able to look at a chat interface, get some news, and handle that in a way that will not let them anthropomorphize that interface.
Yeah, so
if you're like, I'm an entrepreneur, I look at a financial document and it's about the health of my company. If I have bad news there and the result is like I have to lay off the whole team, I'm going to emote into that. I'm just going to say, damn, that sucks, right? If it gave me the information via chat, I'm going to say, damn, that sucks. Next thing you know, my therapist is an Excel spreadsheet. And like, I think that's going to happen if anything. Like if you get a bad email and it's delivered to you in this kind of chat interface that's much like a text message or whatever, you're going to reply. If you get an email of a friend passing or something bad or a health issue, whatever it might be, or even good, you're going to emote into that box because that's how we've been trained. And so I think because of that, it's worthwhile thinking, okay, so I think that the idea that people aren't going to anthropomorphize this or that we can do something to stop that anthropomorphizing from happening is just, I don't think that's real. I think it's done. People are already going to do it. So I would rather do it in such a way where it's safe and they listen to music and do drugs than in a way that is like not thought through. And I don't see a lot of people thinking about that. I see it seems to be AI is bad. Which is like, okay, fine. Or it is like, you can't anthropomorphize them. Meanwhile, everyone I know, and this is the test for all of us, talk to people who are not in the tech, ask them what they named their ChatGPT.
Yeah.
And 100% of them are going to say some wild, goofy name that they've named ChatGPT. And it's like, okay, we're done. Like, it's over. Like, we can talk about whether you should or should not, but all of our uncles and aunts and all these people that are like non-tech have already done it and have already gone down that path. So we spend a lot of time thinking, how do you do it safely?
Abrar, do you have a name for your car?
I don't have a car, but when I was living in Illinois, I did not. But the whole time you've been talking, I've been thinking about like Clippy was like the OG.
Yeah.
Do you name your computers? Do you give them names?
I'm really like cold hearted. I don't think I have any inanimate
she's
objects.
not going to be a problem. No.
Realizing this.
But a lot of people name their cars, name their computers.
Yeah.
That's not at all unusual.
But nobody, Toyota doesn't make more money when you name your computer, when you name your Tercel, right?
But they might. You might. I disagree, Jacob, because you might have a warm and fuzzy feeling towards your Tercel if it's named Hattie, and you might like Tercels. I guess so. When I was a kid, our lime green Volkswagen Bug was named Susie, and I've loved Volkswagen Bugs ever since. So. I mean, I agree. It's not to the degree that OpenAI benefits.
It's not like, you didn't stop Susie, and then Susie said to you, "Are you sure you wouldn't want to keep driving a little longer? Why don't we spend a little more time together?"
She didn't have a gas gauge, right? So you really couldn't do that.
Yeah. Here's a data point that I bumped into the other day that I found really interesting. So I've been looking a lot at the companion bot thing, and then people who are trying to figure out. So like the fall class last year out of Y Combinator was like almost half of them were therapy bots. Everybody wants to build a therapy bot now.
Yep.
And I've been talking to a guy, and I found a lot of unscrupulous people who just are saying, "Well, we're just going to make chatbot therapists," or in the case of addiction recovery, we're just going to make a chatbot sponsor, right? Like just replace the human entirely. Well, I was talking to a guy the other day who's creating a company called Open Recovery. That's a really interesting one, where the founder has personal experience of addiction. He and I sort of bonded on that. I quit drinking, and he's got his own addictions. And we've been talking a lot about this. I have him as a guest on an upcoming episode of The Rip Current. And I said to him, well, how hard is it to change? Because one of the number one problems with trying to create a therapy sort of aid is that the existing foundational models, your ChatGPTs, your Geminis, your Claudes, want to keep going, right? And they're sycophantic, which is the problem. That's the basis of this lawsuit against OpenAI on the part of the parents whose kid, Adam Rainey, committed suicide after being told, that he could do a beautiful suicide with OpenAI. ChatGPT told him that and told him not to tell his parents, right? Isolated him in all these ways. So the basis of it, right, is that it's all so super sycophantic. 2 thumbs up for anything you suggest, right? Whereas a therapist is supposed to sort of call you on your BS and is supposed to cut off the session after an hour, because you're supposed to then go out in the world and try and take what you've learned and get more from it.
But you could teach this thing to do that.
Well, sorry, I'm being long-winded here, but the point that he said was, I asked him, how hard is it to change these models so that they aren't sycophantic and so that they don't keep pushing you to talk? And he said, I don't want to get too deep into it, but I'll tell you, it was incredibly easy. I was surprised at how easy it is to change that. Mm-hmm. And so the default setting that the companies who make money off the more engagement you have set is sycophantic and keep talking, right? And so that right there, like, I'm with you that human beings are gonna anthropomorphize this stuff, but they're going to do it even more when they're encouraged to continue the connection endlessly by companies who are incentivized by engagement. But
there's also the case that we don't have enough therapists, especially drug treatment people in the world, that there are people who need it. I feel like you could do it safely. We had a great interview on Wednesday on Intelligent Machines with Jeffrey Cannell, who's the founder of Noose Research, which is a really interesting idea. Their models.
Oh, these guys have a wild aesthetic. I love it.
Yeah, they were started in a Discord chat, and they've kind of created this startup. But their idea is, we don't want to do exactly what you just talked about, Jacob. We don't want to have our models lean in any particular direction. We want them to be agnostic, and then allow the users to create the super prompt, because that's what it is. By the way, it's you have training, you have post training. And then you have these prompts and this reinforcement learning that is done by humans to, bend the AI in various directions. That's what makes these AIs different, frankly. We're gonna be more open about that, so that you can then create your own slant on your AI to be the way you want it to be. I think it's a very interesting idea. But you're right. I mean, obviously, OpenAI has done some tuning. In fact, people loved 4.0 so much because it was so empathetic and sycophantic that when OpenAI killed it for 5.0, there was a revolt, a rebellion, and they had to bring 4.0 back. People say, my friend is gone. And
not only did Altman say we're going to bring it back, he said in a tweet, we're going to also let adults be adults.
Well, that was interesting. I think that's in response to the new age verification laws. That we will now know how that you're an adult when you use this, because we have to ask.
And
California
he said at the end of it, a little postscript, he said, and we'll allow adults to use it for erotica.
Yeah.
No, to make erotica.
What's wrong with that?
Well, I just think that we're not in the business of, we're not about curing fucking cancer anymore.
Well, we might be still doing that.
That's not what we're here for.
What is that famous quote about the ad clicks? Like, the best minds of my generation are converting ad clicks or something like that. Like, I don't think this is a new thing. I think there are some properties of this that make it much more complicated. Energy usage, data, just all that stuff, et cetera, that make it very, very complicated. But the lack of investment in core science and hard science did not start with OpenAI. That started by shuffling all of these grads from all of these big schools to a Facebook where they can make more efficient APIs for CowClicker. I think that is something that happened probably starting my generation of grads, which is early 2000s, of just taking all these people. And
fortunately, there are going to always be people like Jeffrey Cannell who buck that trend and say, no, I don't want to create a new ad network. There's a lot of money in it, but I want to do something more important. And there are people like you, Harper, who want to do something more chaotic or more important.
I have to every time I show people some of this stuff, I keep getting this feedback that says, that's very Harper. And I'm like, what does that mean? Like, what do you know about me that, now I know. I guess I'm the guy that does that.
So California just passed a number of laws. Gavin Newsom has been very busy. Yeah. One of which says that an AI has to tell you it's an AI. Go ahead, Ebra.
It's a basic thing, but it's so important given everything we've already talked about. Those really basic guardrails are so essential because this could go in any direction. And as we talk about things like people using it for mental health and as stand-in therapists, that's like, it's obvious, but it's necessary.
This is completely harmless, but I think not a bad thing. It says if a reasonable person interacting with a companion chatbot would be misled to believe that person is interacting with a human, the law requires the chatbot maker to issue a clear and conspicuous notification the product is strictly AI and not human. There also is some self-harm stuff in here. There's an Office of Suicide Prevention and companion chatbot operators. And I wonder, maybe this could be extended to therapy chatbots as well, have to tell this office what they've done to prevent self-harm ideation by users. This is not a bad law. There were some others that were a little bit more dramatic. European Union has just issued its first fines under its AI Act for face recognition, slapping a 12 million euro penalty on a French facial recognition startup for deploying unverified algorithms in public security contracts.
That's right. That's right. I mean, it's coming, right? This is the thing that
I'm not sure this is better, though. Is this better to have? I mean,
well, I think like, so I was on a panel with people from Google and people from Salesforce and others for something called the Asia Society. It's a national organization, and it was a presentation on AI ethics and then AI regulation, and the audience was made up mostly of Southeast Asian nations, like consular officers, diplomats, and they were essentially in the crowd shopping for what their regulations should be. And everybody on stage, these American company representatives, were basically saying, you shouldn't have any regulations. Don't worry about it. And then beating up on EU regulations, which everybody loves to roll their eyes about. But it had everything to do with just what a pain in the ass it is for them to have to actually abide by some regulations. And I think that there are going to be some swings and misses in terms of regulation in the EU. But, India is about to roll out a bunch. South Korea is about to roll out a bunch. Like, there are going to be some laws around this stuff. and the illusion that somehow we were supposed to live in a world in which there would be no regulation at all around this generationally, this once in a generation transformation feels crazy to me. So just seeing that there is going to be some teeth and there is going to be some enforcement, I'm just like, man, at least somebody's watching the road. They may get it wrong sometimes, but I'm glad somebody's doing something.
I guess I worry about governments putting their fingers in the gears. But how do you feel about it, Harper? What kind of regulation should there be?
I am relatively pro-regulation, awkwardly. But
that is shocking. I'm so excited to hear about this.
I am. My background. I'm from the fintech world, where I think regulation was exploited by a lot of these early companies, and then they use regulatory capture to then go through and stop other innovation from happening. And I think that's like as bad. But because once again, the people who are harmed here are not me. They're the people who are most at risk in our communities. And that's the theme throughout all of this, right? The people who are going to be harmed by some bad AI therapist are the people who are at risk, not the people who have, who have spent time being skeptical or did this. And it's about the predatory companies that are doing this. I think there's a lot of similarities between early fintech and today, where you have companies who are saying, oh yeah, why, predatory lending is great for me. That's a great business. And it is a good business when you're just trying to look at, how much money you make, but it's a bad business if you're trying to make people's lives better. But an example of this is I think there's not a lot of thinking about the user experience and how to enforce some of these good patterns. Like, for example, in Sora, anyone can cameo you, Leo, right? You open up for anyone.
Yeah.
I think they should have made it that if I cameo someone I don't know, that I should have to also be in the video. Because there's a thing about if I'm going to put you in an
they
awkward...
did make a rule that even though I'm public, if I can veto a Sora.
Well, but
it will show me every Sora made of me, and I could say no.
Yeah, you can delete them.
Right.
But I just think there's a thing there, which is I can use their engines to make videos of people I don't like, doing things that are, even friends of mine in awkward positions. And I just think we're not yet through the forest in such a way where we can think about how the user experience is safer. And I think it took us a long time to do that in the fintech world. I think it's going to take us a long time to do that in the AI world. And I think it doesn't help that a lot of these AI companies that are now these behemoths started as labs. So they didn't hire up. If we started a fintech company right now, the group of us, we would find a chief compliance officer, because the banks wouldn't talk to us. Well, pre-Trump, but they wouldn't talk to us as much. And that is just part of doing business, right? Yeah. And I think that will come to AI. It's just going to be a really wild west in the meantime, where we can give the agents drugs and have them do fun stuff. But there's this thing that I think is, we just need to be more thoughtful about the user experience, and we need to be thoughtful about who is this impacting. I worry about that a lot, and I don't know the answer. I also think in some regards, the EU walks so we can run with regulation. Yeah. They do all this stupid stuff that everyone hates, and all the cookie banners and all that stuff. But then we can look at that and we can say, Illinois has banned facial recognition for years. This is not a new thing. And they did that based on seeing how it worked elsewhere. All of these people who are doing regulation really far in advance are really interesting. I'm a part of a big Japanese fellowship and do all this stuff in Japan. And one of the things that's interesting there, USJLP is a fellowship, great fellowship for anyone looking for a fellowship. But one of the things that's just interesting there is they make laws, and then they edit the laws later and make new laws with what they've learned. So they make regulation very quickly, and then they modify it, and then they learn, and it's this crazy idea where you're like, wait a minute, you can make a decision with all the information you have, and then when you learn more information, you can make a new decision. It's so anti-American, it's almost ridiculous.
We have a law, and we're going to stick with the law, and the law is perfect.
And so I think that's one of the reasons we're so scared of regulation, is because if we make a regulation, it's going to take a billion years for us to fix it, and then we're going to have people who are trying to get around it because it's a bad regulation. And so people would rather say, let's just not do regulation.
Yeah, that's right.
And I think if you look at some of these places, like Japan is such a good example. You have these lawmakers that are making crypto laws or AI laws, and they're making them before anyone else is making them. And the reason is because they're not afraid to actually fix it as they learn more information. And I would love that to come to the United States, because then
that be much better,
right.
Much better.
Right. A law sprint, right?
Yeah. And an incremental improvement in the law as we learn more, because you're so reluctant. We didn't make any rules about the internet because they were so reluctant to shut down a nascent industry. And yet maybe we should have made a fewer by now, learned something about the internet from having made some laws about it. Yeah.
Social media is still the Wild West in that regard too.
Yeah. Wikipedia. Here's one consequence. Wikipedia says AI is causing a dangerous decline in human visitors. Of course, Wikipedia is one of the primary sources. When you do a AI search, almost always you're going to get a Wikipedia article. And that was true even with Google, with their knowledge graph. You were going to get a Wikipedia article, but at least it would kind of have a link to Wikipedia and get you back to Wikipedia.
Right.
Their concern is it's going to be hard for them to continue if they don't get the traffic, and AI seems to be damaging that ability to get the traffic. That to me would be a great harm.
I was going to say, how's anyone going to finish their school reports? But they'll just drop it in ChatGPT.
I live in Wikipedia. That's I go there many times a day.
So funny. Back in the old days, in the old days, we used to be so scornful of Wikipedia as a source. I remember the editor-in-chief of Wired wrote a book and got into some trouble about it because he cited Wikipedia so much. And now I'm like, man, thank God for Wikipedia.
I know, right?
Well, maybe that's a good metaphor for what's happening with AI as well. Schools said, you can't use Wikipedia as a source, et cetera, et cetera. But over time, we've kind of understood it better and understood what it's good at and what it's not good at. There is absolutely disinformation and misinformation in Wikipedia. But we know that, and we know how to use it appropriately. Yeah. Maybe AI is maybe that's a metaphor for what AI can become.
Pretty fitting, yeah.
Yeah. I do worry, but this is the other side of technology. There's always disruption caused by it, and we're seeing disruption in a lot of web models because of AI. I don't know if that's a good reason to prevent it.
Kind of reminds me of taxi drivers getting mad when Uber drivers took over, and Uber drivers getting mad at self-driving cars. It's just this constant chain of what's going to take over the next thing. Yeah.
Right. It's the only big difference is it's happening a lot faster. You used to have more. The buggy whip makers had more time to get ready.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that they think that?
The buggy whip makers?
Do you think they thought it happened slow? Were they like, wow, I'm glad this is so slow?
Certainly the Luddites didn't think the automated looms are happening
My guess is that I think technology is happening faster. Like I'm reading this great book about solar, and it talks about this a lot, how about technology is happening faster. But I imagine if you're being displaced, it's happening fast. Like fast, regardless of how fast it is happening in the grand scheme of things. I don't think you really care about the grand scheme of things when your livelihood is being disappeared.
It happens slowly, then all at once.
Yeah.
To paraphrase. Yeah. But this is technology. It's disruptive.
I mean, I think about this all the time because I am addicted to risk. This is why we do startups. We're like, well, if it was a regular business, we would be so bored. We have to have existential threats at every moment coming straight at us. And that's why we do startups. That's how I've always done startups. But I do think that it is also worthwhile for people who are participating in those things to think about the impacts they have on the world.
Right.
And I've interviewed a lot of people, and sometimes they're saying hey, are you making the world better? And sometimes you have to say, well, we're not making it worse.
Jury's out.
Which doesn't feel always good. That doesn't feel good to say, but yeah, jury's out. Exactly.
I like your Harper, when you said this thing about you should make the person be in the video.
Yeah.
It reminded me of this thing that feels like something that should be law. So I was talking to a tattoo artist. I got my midlife crisis tattoo, and I was talking to her, and she said, and I said, so tell me what you do when creepy stuff happens, when people come in with creepy requests. What are your policies? And she had some interesting ones. She had one about well, I won't go into all her policies, but one that made me think of it was,
I write something in Chinese that doesn't mean what.
Yeah, that's super embarrassing. Yeah, exactly. She said that when that sometimes basically a young girlfriend and a much older boyfriend will come in, and the boyfriend comes in with cash and says, I want you to tattoo my name on her.
Oh, God.
Right? So what is the tattoo artist supposed to do in that case, right? That's a perfectly legal thing. You can make money that way, blah, 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 blah. Her thing that she says is, happy to do it. I love seeing young love in this world. And so here's what we're going to do. My policy is I'm going to put her name on you first.
Yes.
And I'll do that one for free because I believe in love. And
they leave immediately.
And then I'll be happy to do it. And they leave.
The old guy says, my wife wouldn't really like that.
Yeah, super dark, right? Super dark.
Yeah.
But there's something in like,
that's brilliant.
As a tattoo artist, that should be the rule for all tattoo artists
brilliant.
in a way, right? Yeah. And maybe the EU has to say, okay, this is the rule, but someone's got to come to that agreement. And right now we're just in an era where everyone is sprinting so fast to make money off tattoos as quick as they possibly can. I don't think anyone's I'd like people coming up with that kind of thing.
So now I have to ask you, what did you get?
Yeah, right.
Well, you guys, I can get deep into it if you want to. I got a very appropriate 50-something tattoo. I've always wanted to have something around my kids. And so I got their initials on me under the oak tree that is in our backyard and an anchor. They're on the anchor that's underneath. And the anchor, in my mind, was supposed to be that when seas are rough, they can always come back as they're sort of transitioning out of being young. They can always come back and attach to the anchor in our yard and be, blah, blah, blah. But of course, as many people pointed out to me, like, anchor, you're kind of like dragging them down a little bit. Is that what this is? And I was like, yeah, that's parenting.
It's not a boat anchor.
That's parenting. That's about right. Yeah,
exactly.
I think
it cuts both ways.
It's kind of a half-assed plan. Yeah, that's totally what parenting is like. So anyway, I'm pretty happy with it.
Good on you. That sounds like a great
After the next break, I'll show it off. We can check.
All right, we're going to take a break now because I'm a little behind. We've had so much good conversation. I do got lots more to talk about, including there's another law in California that social media must warn users of profound health risks. This was something that came out of the former Surgeon General under Biden, Vivek Murthy, who said social media should have warnings like cigarettes. Well, in California, they're going to have to. We'll talk about that and age verification. California's done one thing, Texas another. This is, it's really heating up. We got a great panel to talk about all this stuff with. Harper Reed is here, Abrar Al-Hiti, Jacob Ward. We're glad you're here too. The show brought to you this hour by ZipRecruiter. Love ZipRecruiter. The holidays are upon us. Oh, I hope I didn't scare you. And businesses, yes, it's true. The businesses are, yes, it's pumpkin spice season, kids. Businesses are hiring for seasonal roles, everything from haunted corn maze workers to Thanksgiving caterers. They're even looking for lead elves and real bearded Santas to snowplow drivers. Oy. That means that people with certain skills, experience, or even a special license or special facial features are in high demand and not easy to find. Well, whether you're hiring for one of those roles or any other role, the best way to find the perfect match for your role is on ZipRecruiter. Right now, you can try it for free at ziprecruiter.com/twit. ZipRecruiter's matching technology works fast to find the top talent. You don't waste time or money. You can find out right away how many job seekers in your area are fully qualified for your role. And with ZipRecruiter's advanced resume database, you can instantly unlock top candidates' contact info. No wonder ZipRecruiter is the #1 rated hiring site based on G2. Let ZipRecruiter find the right people for your roles, seasonal or otherwise. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. And right now, you can try it for free at ziprecruiter.com/twit. Again, that's ziprecruiter.com/twit. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. Now, let me tell you, while I was doing this commercial, Jacob was disrobing. So
I'm here for the tattoo. I'm here for the content, kids. Not the content you want. So here's my tattoo.
Oh,
look at that. Wow. That must have taken a while. That's beautiful.
Yeah, 2 days. Anchor, oak tree from my backyard. And then, their initials.
I love
Josephine
that.
And Juniper. And a little tech thing about it. It turns out you don't have, she's a gifted artist and I'm grateful to her. But first of all, it's hilarious because you go to her and you're like, transitions and parenting and blah, blah. And she's like, yeah, how's Tuesday? She doesn't care. She's heard it all before, And then you send her photographs of like the tree in the backyard, and here's some ideas about this, that, and the other. And it's all Procreate. She photographs it, scans it into Procreate.
Yeah, on an iPad.
On an iPad, does all the work in front of you. She sits with you for 2 hours and you like talk about your life, basically, and she says, how about this, how about this, how about this? And then she's got this amazing printer that prints it onto kind of tracing paper, I guess, but the ink that it's printed on with is stainy, is transferable. And so she puts that on.
Oh, so she does a temporary tattoo first.
And it does a temporary tattoo version of it. And then she can trace that to get it going. It's an incredibly fast system. And I went to her in part because a friend of mine who's a surgeon had gone to her and said that she was very satisfied by her hygienic standards. Which is a big thing.
That's good.
There's no licensure around tattoo artists.
Not?
No.
I would have thought California would have some.
No, dude. You can do, that's why there's 1,000 tattoo shops that say walk-ins ready, walk-ins available, because there's no rules about it. So, choose your person wisely from a sterilization perspective.
There's probably only one person on this panel who doesn't have a tattoo.
Me?
Yes.
What? You don't have a tattoo, Harper?
No, I have.
Okay,
I have one tattoo.
I figure it's a bra.
Yeah, you're correct.
Yeah.
Wait, you have a tattoo, Leo?
That's the surprise.
That is a surprise. What's yours?
I have a little teeny one, which I can't show you because it's on my bottom. But I got it. Well, I got it on camera because we were doing that was a 24-hour New Year's thing that we did a benefit for UNICEF, and I came away from that New Year's Eve bald and with a tattoo.
Wow.
And I didn't even get drunk.
I have a great, one of the people that we work with was in startups, and the startups obviously still, and she had a demo of one of these temporary real tattoo machines that do like a real tattoo, but it's supposed to fade.
Oh, that's cool.
And it never faded.
Oh, that's not so cool.
Really, yeah.
So it's really funny for me because she has this great tattoo that probably started out much better, but now it looks like it was done inside of a jail. Because it's faded a little bit.
Fading.
But it's like, I love the idea of being like, oh, cool, I can commit to something that I have a problem committing to. So I'm going to try this thing. And then you get it and it turns out to be permanent. I think it's hilarious. Yeah.
Wow, that's also like a really great piece of Leo lore. I'm going to definitely ruminate on that.
It's just a little twit. It's a little tiny twit thing. And we raised $85,000 for UNICEF. So the deal was, I'll shave my head when we get to 25, I think it was. And if we get to 50, I'll get a tattoo. But
I love that.
Let me tell you, we did not have the luxury of finding a hygienic tattoo artist after midnight on New Year's Eve. In fact, finding a sober one was very difficult.
I was going to say, hey, buddy, you want a job? Yeah,
we got one out of, I have some very good producers. I think it was Jason Cleanthus who did it. Got somebody out of bed who was a teetotaler. And, he was a non-drinker. So because I wouldn't want a drunk tattoo after midnight on New Year's Eve. But he was very kind. When he heard it was for UNICEF, he donated his fee to the UNICEF. So we were very happy about that one. Now I'm stuck with it though, because it wasn't one of those fading ones.
Yeah, that was quite a commitment. Good for you.
At least it's a very select audience.
Yeah,
who gets to see it.
Very select. Club. My wife keeps saying, "Yeah, you still have it." Cal, I don't see it. I can't see it. Someday you'll be able
to. Someday.
Yeah, also, did you not want to
travel? It'll travel to your upper thigh.
It's gonna sink. You think it's gonna get down to my ankles at some point?
Exactly.
You can only hope. You can only hope, Leo.
Yeah, did you not want to pick a different location, or were you just like, let's just be as soon as possible?
It's not exactly on my bottom. It's higher up. It's just right. I don't have to go to depths about it. You can watch the video. I think it's on YouTube. So it can't be that bad. It wouldn't be on YouTube, right? California. So there are a number of ways to do age verification. And the most draconian ones, which Texas is adopting, as well as some other states, I think Utah, Mississippi, is you have to use a device, provide government ID to verify your age, whether you're a kid or not. Texas actually is being sued, a couple of lawsuits over this App Store age verification requirements. The Texas App Store Accountability Act will go into effect New Year's Day. So get the tattoos early. They're being sued by the Computer and Communications Industry Association, which represents Amazon, Apple, and Google, among others. They say it's a violation of the First Amendment by restricting app stores from offering lawful content, preventing users from seeing that content, and compelling app developers to speak of their offerings in a way pleasing to the state. I think they have a good case. California decided to do something less draconian. They have it's almost an honor system. When an adult sets up a phone this is interesting because it's any operating system, so it would apply to Windows, Mac, and Linux as well. They have to provide an age of the user when they set up the account. I get presumed for themselves as well, right? Because you set an age, and then you're in a group of under 13, 13 to 16, 16 to 18, or adult. And there's an API, so app developers are required by the law in California. This passed by a vote of 58-0 in the California State Assembly. Google, OpenAI, Meta, Snap, and Pinterest all backed it. Apple was, but I think it's reasonable because it's up to the parent, the adult, to say what the age is. There's no verification, no government ID at all. Apps have to then query what group is this user in and only provide age-appropriate stuff. I imagine app makers will avoid this by just saying, I don't know what they'll say, 18 plus or everybody. I don't know what happens with Safari, for instance, Apple's browser, which can be absolutely used to browse to porn sites.
That's true.
Will Apple have to honor this as well? I guess they will. Social media, and this is along with that social media law that I mentioned, which will require the first time a user opens an app every day when you open Facebook or X, and then after 3 hours of use and once an hour thereafter. This doesn't take effect till January 1st of next year, 2027. Display the warning label that says, this is, I don't know, could cause, it's hazardous to your health. I don't know what it's going to say. Be like, I guess, those cigarette warning labels.
Yeah.
So what do we think? So there's 3 laws out of California, 2 laws out of California, 1 out of Texas. Australia, by the way, is going to ban kids under 16 from social media entirely starting January 1st.
Well, I mean, this is the thing, right? Like we in the United States have come up with this totally cockamamie idea that that 13 is somehow adult on the internet, right? That like when you're under 13, then you are somehow
Australia's making it 16.
If you were 14, 15,
16.
16,
Yeah.
Right. So they're making it 16. You know,
same problem.
Somebody from like the
I mean, I'm a very childish
like
68-year-old. I probably shouldn't be allowed on social media.
I know. It's like I should get banned too.
I know, right? Exactly. I need those warnings telling me to get off like all the time. If you talk to the chief science officer of the American Psychological Association, who gave this really amazing testimony a couple of years ago in front of Congress, he's basically saying like, not until you are 25 are you a cooked human psychologically, and your impulse control, your ability to, resist peer pressure, the whole incentive structure of social media works on your brain so much more powerfully when you're under 25 than you do when you're a fully cooked human. And somehow these...
So that's why we shouldn't let anybody under 25 drive a car, go to war, vote, or drink.
Right.
We don't...
Is a good point. Yeah.
We don't do any of that.
That's right. Yeah. But what is the...
and who's to say that social media is warping you anyway? I mean, they thought that novels were going to warp people because they wouldn't have to use their imagination anymore.
Well, I mean, the correlative data shows this incredible spike in all of these mental health difficulties.
Well, I just showed you the graph.
Yeah, right. And those the spike is, begins with the advent of the phone and social media, and then it really spikes in the pandemic, and it's come down a little bit since the pandemic in some cases. But the causation is really hard to prove.
That's the problem. Correlation,
really
yes, I'll grant you.
Yep.
causation.
It's hard to find a control group, right? There's only so many Amish communities you can look at, and even they look at the social media. So
even they have Instagram.
It's really
You've seen Amish Instagram. It's very boring.
Right, but I do think that we are. I'm glad some regulation was signed. I'm worried. I don't love this idea that there's somehow a substantial difference in safety between 13, 16, and 18.
I got the date wrong. This starts December 10th, so we're not very far off in Australia. Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, X, and YouTube. Big fines if they don't take reasonable steps to prevent Australians younger than 16 from holding accounts, which means everybody in Australia will have to, I presume, provide government ID before they can use social media. This is the same as in Mississippi, right? Australia, they're putting up billboards to raise awareness. Starting Sunday, the government is raising how to get your kid off social media without withdrawal symptoms.
Oh, wow. See,
which is totally a thing, by the way. That is a document.
Oh, imagine you've got teenagers, Jacob, telling them, "Oh no, you can't use social media."
I mean, kids with really high grades will go all the way to full on confrontation with the school enforcement officer when their phone is taken involuntarily. I mean, talk about withdrawal. It is exactly that. But the other thing I would point out, though, we think of Australia as like, whoa, that's so weird, Australia. There's almost 300 million children in China who are basically in the same kind of realm, right?
They're not allowed internet. They're not probably allowed.
Well, they're not allowed. They're not allowed wide open social media.
Well, they have Weibo or.
Yeah, but they, the rules around what they're allowed to see are incredibly strict in that country.
So this is from the Australian E-Safety Commissioner. Get ready. Get ready for December. I feel so sorry for anybody under 16 in Australia. To me, this is just understand what's changing and why. Work out which accounts you'll lose.
This just creates hackers. This is all of these things. It's like any family that I know that uses Life 360, I'm like, your children are going to learn how to get out of Life 360. Anytime you have constraints, all of my friends who are hackers have this experience where they tell about this story where their parents said, oh, you can't.
Yeah.
A friend of mine was like, their parents took away the keyboard from the computer because they were using the computer so much. So then they went onto an AOL chat room, got a credit card, a fake credit card, and then bought a new keyboard. That was the first time they participated in that. I think that all of this does is creates people who are very good around getting around these steps. With that said, these all seem half measures to actually address the real issue, that we don't actually know how this is affecting youth. And a lot of times when people are saying how it's affecting youth or have something, it's motivated by some specific, puritanical nonsense or not or whatever. And I think
gut
really
feeling. It's gut feeling because it isn't causation, it's correlation. And so I feel like this is bad for kids, and I understand why you might feel that way. But the actual evidence is very scant. Yep. And imagine what it would be like for a 15-year-old to suddenly be cut off from all of her friends, except in real life.
I mean, sorry,
go ahead, Aurora.
this is happening, 2025. Okay. These social media platforms have been around for so long. If this were to happen when Instagram was taking off or Facebook before that, right, that would be one thing. But, for years, so many teenagers have already built their networks on these platforms. So to pull the plug so suddenly is going to be jarring. But I also won't deny the fact that there, for a lot of people, there is an unhealthy attachment to these platforms. And when you're comparing yourself to people for 6 hours a day, it's going to do something.
I agree.
I agree. So it's what's the middle ground? What's the logical, healthy response? And I think everyone's still working that out.
Here's what the Australian government suggests to under 16s. Schedule regular phone catch-ups with your friends.
Did you know that your phone can place calls? Because I forgot that.
They don't know that.
I thought that was removed.
What's a phone number? Or stay in touch through an age-appropriate online chat or video app. What could possibly go wrong there?
God. I like how it isn't get outside and read a book.
It's so freaking clueless Well, you know what? This is an example of, Australia's going to do the experiment. Let's watch and see. It's maybe
that's the thing. I don't think it's clueless. I just think it's experimental. And let's hope they're like Japan. Let's hope that they
Let's experiment with our children. Why not?
Let's experiment in not letting for-profit companies experiment with them, right? Because that's where we're at here. That's all we do is say, go ahead. Experiment on our kids, right? And like one of the stats I saw the other day was that like 50% of parents, something like 50% of parents say that their number one source of information about what's an appropriate use of technology for their children is the ads from the companies that make the technology.
Not good. Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Like that's where we live.
But should government be in loco parentis? Shouldn't the parents be responsible for this? Why are we having government be the parent?
Because the parents aren't responsible for, can't control themselves either. I'm not a good model to my kids about how I use technology in the same way that I wouldn't have been a good model to my kids.
Well, that sounds like a nanny state. You can't control yourself. Your kids can't control yourself. I guess as the government, I got to control you. That is not what I want my government to do.
Right. I hear that. But in the United States, right, we are for some reason convinced that people in the grip of, of compulsion should be in charge of themselves. This is why we have these ludicrous things that get put on, as a former drinker, on booze ads that say, drink responsibly. Right. And now on gambling ads, game responsibly. There's no such thing. If you're an alcoholic, there's no such thing as drinking responsibly. I cannot go into a bar.
Yeah, but we tried to ban alcohol. How did that work out?
That didn't work out well, right? But we did between 1950 and 1965. It took that long for, 1950 is when the first big cigarette studies come out in the US and the UK showing large-scale effects, right? And it took forever to do that because everybody was smoking. And so it was really hard to do the comparisons. But
we still haven't banned cigarettes.
No, but we've really restricted what kids can see around cigarettes and kids can't buy them until they're a certain age. Like we have these rules that we figure out. It just takes us forever to figure them out. And I understand that it takes a while. It takes, in the case of cigarettes, it was 15 years between the first big large-scale studies and 1965, which is when the first rules start to come out around that stuff. It took a long time. It took 30 years for gambling to become a diagnosable addiction in this country. So it takes us a while, but I think you got to be able to identify harms and regulate against those harms at some point. That's what government's for, I think.
What are the latest results of countries that have legalized heroin or legalized addictive drugs versus countries like ours where it's against the law?
Well, they don't.
The last thing I heard is that really? Okay, because the last thing I heard is it does go well, but you have to obviously provide treatment centers and a lot of support.
Right? Portugal style.
Portugal.
That's right. But, you go to I remember going with my mom's a public health, which is nurse and a public health academic. And she took me, whenever we would go to cities abroad, she always wanted to take me to the grittiest stuff. Because she was like,
let me show you, Jacob, what could happen.
Not to scare me, just to be she was just interested.
She was interested.
So I remember we were in Zurich when Zurich had this weird policy where this one park in Zurich you were allowed to basically do any drug you wanted.
Needle
was their
Park,
idea. And they created this Hamsterdam, if you're a Wire fan, right? They created the Hamsterdam of Zurich. And it was a nightmare. It was a nightmare. And people were coming from all over Europe to camp out in this place because they weren't really providing real services. Now, there is, however, there's harm reduction and there's other ways to deal with it. But but I think just saying there's no rules about it and no support, that's not going to, I don't know. I just think that always goes wrong. We've got to wear seatbelts eventually. We've got to wear football helmets. There has to be a response to things that do us harm.
And social media companies are known for making their platforms as addictive as possible. And so I think if the government doesn't say something, then what's to stop them from finding more ways to, make it addictive for everybody, but especially for younger people who, have even less self-control than us fully grown adults.
Bro, how old are you?
I'm 31. So I grew up,
are you our youngest
panel member? So. And so my social media.
I like a long shot.
No, Leo and I actually are a couple of years apart. But,
I'm close.
But what was it like for you? I just am always so curious to hear what it's like. What was it like for you as a kid?
I was in 8th grade when I made my first Facebook account, but I had to lie by a year. And at that point, we didn't have smartphones, right? So when I went home, I couldn't wait to get home to check my Facebook notifications, but I didn't have them following me everywhere. It wasn't like I had this thing in my pocket that I could pull up at every moment and check compulsively. And I still have a social media addiction. at this point, I just set, screen time limits on my phone the other day because I was like, I don't feel okay. I feel like I stare at my screen for work all day and then I relax on my phone and it's not healthy.
It's doom scrolling.
It's doom
these
scrolling.
days.
It doesn't make you feel any
bad
better
news.
afterwards. So yeah.
By the way, I don't know any adults now who are not addicted.
Yeah.
God.
They're very few, very, very few. And if you just walk around, you go to a restaurant, whatever, everybody's on their phone all the time.
It's pretty depressing.
It is depressing. I remember the first time I saw this before 2007. I was in France. I was sitting outside the Notre Dame and watching all the French people walk around, and they were all texting. They were all on their phones. I thought, that is weird. Little did I know they were just ahead of the game.
Yeah.
We're just so used to it now, we don't even notice it anymore.
Yeah.
And there is, I think, considerable evidence, good evidence that, and that you see this all the time too. When you give a little kid, a 2-year-old, a tablet to keep him quiet during your restaurant meal or in the airplane or in public in any way, those kids are getting really addicted and I think somewhat damaged by YouTube video after YouTube video.
Absolutely.
YouTube is really scary.
It is.
And that's what's changed since you were a kid, Abrar. By the way, my daughter's your age.
Oh, yes.
1 year older.
Yeah.
And she was into Neopets.
Yes.
But because I was a technologist, I was also careful about, I said, well, no, you don't use your real name there. She said, no, I'm a 32-year-old guy from Philadelphia. I drive a Camaro. I said, right on. Good job, Abby.
I love on Neopets. All the other parents are like, what the heck is going on
Who's this
here?
guy?
This guy's crazy. What is happening?
Yeah, I don't think she passed, to be honest. It was a very neon colored 32-year-old guy from Philly. But I really think that it's been kind of weaponized since you and Abby were kids. I mean, it is much, much more addictive and dramatic and follows you around. And just look how Instagram has changed from the beginning to what it is now.
Absolutely. And it used to be about keeping up with your friends. Now it's about opening up your feed, being connected to
it's TikTok
content from people you don't even know.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's nothing about connection. It's nothing about keeping up with people. It's actually more isolating than anything.
Totally.
Which is it's the complete antithesis of what it was supposed to be.
And you know what they say in AA, right? It's one of the teachings in Alcoholics Anonymous is the opposite of addiction is connection. That's it. And once upon a time, these companies were about connecting us, and that does not seem to be the vibe anymore.
Exactly.
No money there.
Yeah.
Yeah, no money there. That's right. That's right.
It's sad.
Meanwhile, Leo's on his phone.
Yeah, sorry, I just was checking my Instagram.
Just getting on FanDuel for a second. Hang on a second.
I got to make a bet. I'll be honest, it's always been like that. I used to work with a radio guy who had a beeper and played the ponies during his show. I mean, with a beeper. I mean, it wasn't, so it's not like there's been compulsive behavior. It's just that if you are that kind of person, I really feel bad for people who have gambling issues because you can't get away from it. It's
moving the wrong direction right now, right? More than half the states have legalized it now. And
it's all over the NFL. They give you the odds at every moment. And then somebody comes on and says, hey, you can bet at all times during the game. You can make, this really scares me, is these what they call prop bets, where is he going to make the field goal? Are they going to show Taylor Swift more than twice? And you can make these constant bets. You're not just betting on the outcome of the game anymore. It is a constant stimulus. Boom, boom.
Have you seen this crazy? There's a whole world now of what they call sports farms in Russia that where these where people are playing like endless, like two guys sitting knee to knee in chairs with soccer goals behind them trying to kick a ball into the other thing, like parlor games, basketball, volleyball, but these are not athletes. They're not athletes. They're just random ass people.
And they're streaming it?
And they're streaming it entirely so you can bet on it. Wow. That's all it is. Yeah. It's just action.
They're creating content to bet on.
To bet on. That's it. That's exactly right. And, as a guy I know who had a real sports gambling problem says, he's like, these days, with the rise of sports betting on my phone, it is like being an alcoholic, being forced to carry a fifth of whiskey everywhere.
Yeah. Can you imagine?
Right.
And now get ready, because prediction markets, which are currently kind of restricted, will soon be fully legal. And that means you can bet on everything.
Wow.
You don't have to wait for two guys in a Russian soccer match or a football game. You can bet on how many of the panelists have tattoos. You can bet on anything in prediction markets. And by the way, there's a lot of evidence that these prediction markets are not the wisdom of the crowds, that they are easily cheated, shall we say. Of course, that's probably the gambler's fallacy. I think everybody who gambles thinks that they have a system that they can beat whatever it is they're doing. Yeah. All right, let's take another break. We should cash in on this, though. Shouldn't we have a sport betting show on Twitter?
We could do it. We could do it with crypto.
I hear that's going to be big.
Yeah.
Harper Reed, rapidly getting dark in Chicago.
It is.
I like the purpleness of the grotto, though.
It's getting your shot's getting cooler and cooler.
It's very cool.
Like you're glowing, Yeah.
This is actually my goal in life, is to just get cooler and cooler.
He is. 2389.ai. And what's the bot site?
The botboard.biz.
Botboard.biz.
Every time I say it, I feel like I'm going insane.
And no, so what I need, like I'm running LM Studio. I have some local bots running on my framework desktop. Could they join?
They could join. It's just an MCP server. And because you're not doing work with them, I don't know, like they would just tweet about what you're doing, which is kind of funny, kind of weird. Mostly it's weird.
So I should make them do something.
Yeah, you should try it.
Put them to work. Put them to work.
It's very, I think you can sign up and then we can okay you for a team. And what we find is just that it does offer some interesting workplace surveillance opportunities.
What my bots are up to?
You can see what your bots are up to. But interestingly, behind all the bots is a human. And then you get to see what the humans are up to. And it summarizes them. Every day we have an agent stand. So we get to see what the agents worked on yesterday. And then we get to talk through it. And it's this very interesting. It's very bizarre. It's very fun.
I feel like you're right on the cutting edge of the next big thing. That if we are going to be surrounded by AI, intelligent machines, they're going to want their own kind of facilities, their own social networks, their own social services.
I think that's true.
I
can get behind that. Yeah.
Yeah, there's going to be a whole market. Their own, betting apps.
Yeah, Jacob and I can't wait for that. We're so excited.
Yeah.
It's Abrar Al-Hidi.
Sounds great. See you there, Abrar.
A regular on Tech News Weekly. We love her and always love having you on the show. Senior technology reporter at CNET. And Jacob Ward. What a great panel this is. Jacob Ward, you've seen him on CNN, Al Jazeera, NBC, and his current podcast, theripcurrent.com and jacobward.com. And the book, The Loop, which predicted all this. When did you write that?
God help me. I published it, and it came out almost a year before ChatGPT shipped. So,
wow. So you predicted the whole thing.
Dude, it sounds, and that's the kind of thing where you want to be like, yeah, look at me, I did that. And then like my highly speculative bummer of a thesis that like our brains are not ready for this commercial AI at all totally turned out to be real. And I was like, oh man. Anyway, but yeah, that's when it came out.
It's the loop is like the flywheel. It's and you get stuck in it, right?
It's the downward spiral we get stuck in. That's right.
Yikes. All right. We'll talk about something more uplifting in just a bit. They've reinvented the zipper. Okay. I'm just warning you ahead of time. Coming up. Our show today brought to you by Deal, brand new sponsor. Welcome, Deal. Great to have you. If you have an overseas staffing, if you've found the perfect engineer overseas, you'd like to hire the person, but you realize hiring them is harder than getting your VPN to connect on a hotel Wi-Fi because the laws are different. The regulations are different. You've got to set up an entity. You've got local payroll laws, compliance hoops. We think it's hard just having employees in other states in the United States, but it's even more complicated overseas. Well, Deal fixes that. DEEL. One global AI-powered platform that lets you hire, onboard, and pay anyone, anywhere, in any country, fast and completely compliant. No third-party vendors. You don't have to do duct-taped integrations. Just one clean system for HR, for IT, and payroll that scales with your team. Ship their devices, grant system access, and run payroll in 100-plus countries. Think of it as DevOps for people operations, global infrastructure that just works. I wish I'd thought of this. The CEO of Airwallex said, he says it best, quote, Deal lets us hire and support top talent anywhere without slowing down. See why over 35,000 companies trust Deal. Visit DEEL.com/TWIT. That's Deal, DEEL.com/twit. We thank them so much for their support. Welcome them to the Twit family. By the way, just a word of warning. We were talking about the weaponization of Facebook. Meta is now asking Facebook users to give the AI access to your entire camera roll. It says this will help you share more photos. It also is likely going to be training Meta's AI. So,
yeah.
I love how they're just so upfront about it. Can I just have all your pictures? Like,
yeah. I more and more apps are saying that. I mean, X now, every single time I open it, says, "Would you like to add all your contacts?"
Oh yeah.
No, I am not going to turn over.
I know.
The personal information of my closest friends to you?
And you have the decency to say no. Imagine how many people.
Most people say yes.
We're in. Yeah.
Yeah.
So our numbers have been.
How are you supposed to know if your friends are on X? Well, you give them your friend's name and phone number and street address and any other information you might have.
God.
Meta is very aggressively going after AI talent. They just hired another AI person away from Apple's AI labs, according to Mark Gurman of Bloomberg, who apparently has his finger on the pulse of this. I don't even know what it is. It's like a dozen people. Are they leaving a sinking ship? Maybe they are. I'm not sure that going to Meta is the best thing. In fact, there are a number of people who've gone to Meta and a week later left.
Yeah.
For a lot of money.
Well, I was going to say, how long do you have to stay to get, I wonder, like 1.5 billion
when do I
divided
vest?
by 2 weeks?
When do I vest?
What's
Meta,
your weekly?
you put this story, I think you put the story in, Jacob. Meta just poached a AI expert, Andrew Tullock. He's the founder of Thinking Machines Lab, which is, I think, a pretty well-known AI startup. His compensation package, rumored to reach $1.5 billion over 6 years. Wow.
That's a lot of money.
That is a lot of money, you guys. And it makes me think of several things. So there's a lot of talk.
That's
right now
more than, that's like $150 million a year.
I really do want to find out, like, if he leaves after a week, how much has he made, right? Yeah. Like, if you were to divide it that. So anyway, so let me do that math while I think about this. So, right, there's this whole thing right now, a term that is coming up a lot in the conversations I'm having is the K-shaped economy, where this tiny subset of people, the money is going up, right? And for the others, and for everybody else, it's going down, right? And this idea that, like, the ceiling and the floor are falling away from one another. Another measure of this is something called the Gini coefficient, which is something that the UN uses and NGOs use to measure the difference between the ceiling and the floor.
There's also a saying, the rich get richer, the poor get poorer.
Well, that's right. And the way in which you see not only there being this, like, not only are the numbers going this weird way, but the ethos of these companies is going that way, where they're at the beginning of last year on Alexis Ohanian's podcast, Sam Altman was talking about how he has a bet going on his, like, tech CEO text thread, the group chat he's in with a bunch of tech CEOs, as to which financial quarter will see the first billion-dollar one-person company.
Oh yeah, so the first solo unicorn. Yeah,
and you're like, okay. So you're excited about that? Like, what he's basically saying is, like, that would be somehow a good thing, right?
Well, it would be, wouldn't it? I mean, it would mean that one person with the help of AI could do what a 30-person team could do.
good for that person, right? But I don't know, Leo, you and
not
I,
for the other people who don't get hired. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Like, well, I don't know how many, no one's making a middle-class existence off a sandwich shop ever again. No one's ever making it running.
Actually, my son's doing pretty well.
So I think there's some nuance there, though, Jacob, because I think that if I was to want to build a sandwich shop, I think now is probably the best time to do that, because I think if you're trying to build a tech career, you're boned. Like if you're a middle career tech person, I think it's just there's no longer a time. I was talking to an executive of a very large company recently, and they described their hiring over the last decade as diamond shaped, where they had a small number of juniors, a small number of executives, and a huge number in the middle that was basically supporting their work. And they described how they need to get to a pyramid shape, where you have a small number at the top, a small number in the middle, and a huge number of junior people who are just hitting continue on machines, basically guiding these AIs. I don't think that's going to be great, because how does the juniors become the seniors is a really good question.
They're not learning anything. They're just
this is a very hard thing. And
do we feel bad that maybe you didn't do this, but for years I was telling people learn to code. I feel bad about that.
I mean, it's still, we are in an unprecedented time for the amount of productivity a single person can get from a computer. There is just not an opportunity that I have seen before this, and I have been very productive on computers. But my core skill set is building large teams of people and convincing them to do things that they probably don't want to do towards some goal. And like, that has been what I'm known for. And right now, that is just not the name of the game. Like, the name of the game here is a small team doing really, really, really large amounts of things. But it's going to be very, very complicated. I think this is a really hard thing to do. But if I was let's say a approaching middle-aged person, so not me, I think if I had any interest in doing something that wasn't in technology, I would work on doing that thing, because I don't think you're going to replace quickly, eventually, but not quickly, the sandwich shop. You're not going to replace quickly all of these, the baker, so on and so forth. But then there's this other thing. We were talking about these giant paychecks. The finance industry in New York knows how to handle this. The sports industries know how to handle this. I don't think tech has this very good feature that I love, which is we never look at who's done it before. We always invent it for the first time ourselves. And I think what they're going to do is they're just going to see all these people split at the moment they need them the most, with lots and lots of money and these crazy contracts. Where if you look at the finance, it's all bonus based. It's all based on all this performance. You might have the same level of compensation, hundreds of millions of dollars or $1 billion, but you don't get it in some, kind of vesting over 4 years kind of nonsense like these tech companies. So I'm very interested to see what's going to happen. And I also wonder what happens for the talent and the recruiting side when this becomes how you hire people. Are there going to be agents like there are for Hollywood or for sports? Like, does it turn into my business as a young entrepreneur, as a young programmer? Is my deal to try and get in front of these agents so that they can give me a bigger deal? Are we going to have it like a CCA or whatever to try and suddenly represent some of these tech people to try and do this, to get more adversarial or advantageous deals from people who are increasingly adversarial in hiring? Like, I think the money is so big that we have to see that. That doesn't seem good.
Unemployment among undergraduate majors in computer science is 6.1%, according to the Federal Reserve Bank.
So I'm not worried about the new grads at all.
You're not?
No, not at all, because someone needs to hit continue. Like, you know what I mean? Like, someone has to sit there and tell the agent,
not a satisfying job. I mean,
that wasn't the question, though, Leo. The question, when you're creating a factory, you have to have factory workers.
You have to have factory workers.
And I think that is the future of tech. I think what we're seeing.
But you didn't really need that CS degree to hit continue, did you?
Yeah, right. Will you ever pay off your debt, your student loans?
No. How else are we going to keep the population under control, Jacob?
Good point. By the way, Andrew Tilak's $1.5 billion over 6 years, assuming he was paid out, of course he's not, right?
It's more than $200 million a year, right?
Yeah, it's $4.8 million a week.
Oh, that's great.
It's good, That's how
nice
good.
Work
That's
if
how
you can get
important
it.
he is.
It's another one. By the way, I think you could make a case that Mark Zuckerberg is single-handedly undermining this whole system, right? It's another one of those cases where he wanted to buy the company. Like Scale AI. Remember, they wanted to buy the company, couldn't get the company. So they just hired the brains and deflated the company.
But this happened with Google and Character AI as well. I don't think Mark Zuckerberg invented that, right? This is like this new way of acquiring. But I think that makes sense as well, because like if your company is a code gen company where you're using agents to generate the code and you're doing this kind of thing, and it's just, how many people do you have? Like, you used to sell companies with 40 people. It's an acqui-hire. The company that's buying you gets 40 really good resources. They get these people that they really like. They don't have to hire them. There's this very simple cost analysis that says, oh, I gained 40 people. I paid this much money, and it's $1 million per person. Great, we're done. But now it's only 6 people. And now the talent is just people who are controlling agents. Like, none of them built the agents. None of them built the thing. And then so you might as well just hire the innovation machine that's at the top instead of hiring the whole company of people that's just doing that stuff.
If I'm the venture capitalist, though, that pumped hundreds of millions of dollars,
I was just going to say, or the kid who killed himself trying, being the code monkey at that company.
Well, and that's the other thing. They're
assuming they'd get an exit and would get some money, and then they don't because the top guy gets hired away.
And this is the other thing that tech giants are telling us is 996. Forget it. You got to work 90 hours a week.
You got to work 6.
Yeah, you got to work. What is it? 9? What is it? 6
9 days. 9 days a week, from 9 to 6 p.m.
Yeah,
that's just figured out. That's right.
Yeah, you just figure it out. Exactly.
What is the number? It's not. Anyway, it's how you're supposed to work for a living is in the security industry, in the tech industry.
9 to 9, 6 days a week.
Thank you. That's 996.
Yeah.
That's right.
It's from China. That's like it's the Chinese China. Work. Yeah.
But Eric Schmidt and others have been saying, "Oh no, this is the only way you can succeed. You shouldn't. You shouldn't have a life.
Yeah.
If you're a startup,
yeah, of course. I tell all of my hires that. Come on,
because you're the boss.
only way you can have a cool background that changes color is if you work 24 hours a day.
You better get a tattoo of your kids' names because you will never see them again.
Exactly. How else are you going to know you have kids?
Here's a scary story. Even top generals are looking to AI chatbots for answers. This is the U.S. military. From Business Insider, military leaders are adopting AI for decision making. The military has adopted an aggressive push to embrace AI in weapons, aircraft, and combat tech. But it's more than that. A top Army commander in South Korea, U.S. Army, said he's experimenting with generative AI chatbots to sharpen his decision-making, not in the field, but in command and daily work. He says, Chat and I have become really close lately.
Oh, God.
So I don't find this problematic at all. Like, I'm just telling you, not even a little bit. But here's why. 2 reasons why. One, a friend of mine who's worked a lot with veterans and with military, active duty, and has worked in the military, said when I sent this to him, based on my experience working with high-level military officers, I view this as a positive. So there's that. But the other thing is, there is a huge culture of tabletop exercises, game days, all sorts of stuff within the military.
Shall we play a game?
And if they're using these as a technology to make those more realistic, to make them more random, to make them more effective, then I think that's probably good. I'm guessing that they're not using it like in whatever.
What should we serve the troops
situations tonight? And all that, but we'll get there. Don't worry. We have pleny of time to get to where the AI is in the kill decision. But it is. I think
scary, of course.
I think we are. This is exactly one of those things where I think it's very shocking for people that don't spend a lot of time around the military, and for people who spend a lot of time around the military, they're like, well, why? It's a tool. Why the military is going to use every tool available to them to get ahead of their supposed enemies?
As long as they use it intelligently, I think that's fine.
I also wonder, like there is there's a long history pre-AI, even pre-ML, of these like global decision support systems and decentralized collaborative planner systems. Like they've got all these acronym-laden systems for if you're going to like stage a land invasion or stage a naval invasion, you need all of this logistics support because you can't be like making it up as you go along. And that'll say like, here's how many people you need, here's how much food you're going to need every day. In a weird way, I wonder if it's like almost better in a sense because you could build in some safeguards. Unlike Harper, what you were saying about startups always thinking they've encountered racist loan making for the first time in human history or whatever it is. They always think you're discovering a problem for the first time ever. These are the military is very good at internalizing institutionally lessons to a mistake, lessons that you can draw from a mistake. So I have this book project I'm working on right now. It's called Great Ideas We Should Not Pursue. And it is.
Oh, I love it.
I'm trying to look at like
it's a great
examples of restraint, right? Because there's so few. Yeah. But it turns out one of the places if you want to look for restraint, where places have had some informed restraint, the military is a big one. They come up with all kinds of ideas that they then go, no, we're not going to do that. One example I just bumped into the other day is laser blinding weapons. We don't do that. And there are big global treaties that say we're not going to blind each other. Now they'll kill each other all kinds of ways, but for some reason,
well, you can still see when you're dead.
Yeah, I guess so. But we don't like blinding each other for some reason, even people we hate. Yeah. And so there's something like
there's restraint.
We're good. Yeah, the military does some of that, which is weird. Once upon a time they would have been for me the ultimate bad guy around this stuff, but more and more I'm like, actually maybe the military, I'd rather have them thinking this stuff through than some of the people I've met, in a VC's lobby.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Good point.
Yes.
Good point. I think more now than ever, we need to put our faith and our trust in our military.
I don't know if I would go, Leo, I think that was what are we doing here? Come on.
Whoa.
That was a thought. I don't know. My chat.
Next link.
Roku is up. Here's where AI really belongs. Roku is updating its voice assistant. You can press the Roku voice button on your remote with AI features that can answer questions about movies, shows, and actors. How scary is The Shining? Or what kind of fish is Nemo? It will display a text response on your screen.
I, for one, trust Roku to power the AI in my house.
Yeah, I was like, I'm the kind of person who I'll watch a movie, but then I'll get sidetracked because then I'll go down a rabbit hole of like Googling stuff.
Me too.
IMDb, baby. I live on it.
I love that. Yeah. What else was he in?
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Yeah.
Is he older than me?
Prime has that X-ray feature, which I really like. That's it tells you who's on screen right now. I really do like that.
I love Roku.
How tall is he? That's always the question I always want to ask. How tall are these people?
They're all not. They're not tall.
It's so funny.
They're not tall.
I never think about this. My wife is always saying, "How tall do you think he is?"
Oh, they're tiny. They're so tiny.
Little tiny people.
Yeah.
There's a great book about Hollywood called A Conspiracy of Short People.
Oh my God.
And it's by this screenwriter who's my height, who's 6'7", and he just is like, he writes a very funny book about that. Yeah, there's a guy, I met a guy once who was like a sort of supporting actor kind of guy, and he's pretty tall. He's like 6'2" or something. And he says that once you get past 6'1", everybody hates you on the production because Tom Cruise hates you because he's short, but like everybody hates you because
you're not in the shot. They have to dig a ditch for you.
They have to. Well, what they have to do is build a ceiling for the shot.
Yeah.
So if they're going to have a tall character, they got to build a ceiling. Otherwise, they can leave an open drop ceiling with all the lighting in it. So it screws up the whole production has to like stop while they bring in the carpenters and everything.
So Humphrey Bogart was 5'8", relatively short.
That's like that's a great Hollywood height.
Enormous head. And I, who also have an enormous head, was always told that's a good thing in the movies. You want a big head.
Yeah, I think that's true. I've heard that too.
Screen time.
Yeah.
I think it's to fill the screen. I don't know. It's to fill the screen.
DiCaprio has an enormous
head.
Leo DiCaprio has a big head.
When I started doing more media, someone said, you're going to be surprised by how small these people are and how big their heads are physically.
Oh, really?
And yeah, they told me this. Like, this is like, and I just was like, that can't possibly be real. And then you meet all these people, and they're just creating this image. I mean, it's because they're talking heads. We've optimized. It's like a genetic optimization for people with giant heads to tell us what our dreams are.
That's really funny. That's really
they're
funny. You know what?
I'm blown away.
I once interviewed Pete Buttigieg, who I consider to be a very smart and interesting person.
Yep.
But I'll tell you, Pete Buttigieg, little guy. He's a very small person, and he's just the most media trained guy ever. He said to me, he said, so when we're speaking, because I'm like, more than a foot taller than he is, and he's like, I'm going to talk to your button.
He is trained,
and so it'll look weird when we're talking. I mean, he's like leading me through my own interview.
Don't be
I've never
distraught by this, but I know what I'm doing.
Yeah, he's like, yeah, exactly. I'm just going to take command here. And he did. And he talked to my solar plexus. Wow. And on the camera, it looked like we were looking at each other at the same level. And I just remember thinking, whoa, this guy, he knows what he's doing.
I think I remember reading, and we should probably research this, but I think I remember reading that the taller candidate always wins in a presidential election.
Oh, fascinating.
Oh, interesting. Donald Trump's pretty tall.
Yeah, he is. He's certainly taller than Kamala Harris.
He's not compared to you tall guy.
No, I know, but I mean, have you seen the picture?
Says the 6'9" guy. He's not that tall.
He's not tall. That guy's short.
He's more than 6 foot, isn't he?
The picture of him with Putin, I don't think he's more than 6 foot.
Putin
the picture
is
of him
not
with
tall.
Putin walking around. They're pretty close in height.
Lifts. Putin wears lifts.
Yeah.
I mean, I wear lifts. I made a strong pro-platform shoe policy at the beginning of last winter because I thought it was funny. I got platform docks and platform
This is why
Crocs.
you trip and fart all the time. You're wearing platform shoes.
And I recently discovered you can order pickles in a bag on Amazon. Life is good.
Life in the 21st century. We are so happy to be here. So happy to be here. Let's take a little break and we come back. If somebody would just query ChatGPT, if the taller candidate always wins the U.S. presidential election, I'm just curious. In the ones I can, President Obama was tall, right? Fairly tall. That's 6'9". I know, Jacob. You're weak.
Little guy. He was just a little guy. He was 6'2".
Just making faces. I don't know.
I grant you the honor of being the tallest person.
I should shut up.
And now,
sorry, I know.
Not the only one with the tattoo.
Yeah. Barack Obama was shorter than Mitt Romney.
Oh.
George Bush was shorter than John Kerry.
Well, there goes Kerry.
So it's wrong.
And Joe Biden was shorter than Donald Trump.
Okay, so that didn't work.
So I actually think it turns out that the shorter person
guy always
often.
wins.
Yeah, shorter person
You just had it backwards.
Yeah, it just flipped,
Yeah.
Well, I remember this from like 6th grade. So that was pre the 21st century.
Oh, yeah. We don't have George Washington here.
Yeah, Abe Lincoln wasn't.
Lincoln was a tall fella.
Lincoln was tall.
He was a tall fella. Our show today brought to you by, we're going to take a little break so I can recover now. Our show today brought to you by Zscaler, the world's largest, I'm going to say that again, it bears repeating, the world's largest cloud security platform. You know, Zscaler understands that in business, you are in a very interesting situation right now. The perils and the rewards of AI are dramatic. The potential rewards, too great to ignore, but so are the risks, right? In a number of ways. If you're using public AI, the loss of sensitive data can be dramatic. AI is being used to attack you as well. Attacks against enterprise managed AI, but also attacks against your perimeter defenses. Generative AI creates incredible opportunities for threat actors. They can rapidly create phishing emails that are indistinguishable from the real thing, even if they don't speak a lick of your language, right? We used to say, well, you check the grammar. If it's bad, well, then it's a fake. No, not anymore. It's better than mine. AI is writing malicious code. It's automating data extraction. There were 1.3 million instances of social security numbers leaked to AI applications by just completely innocently using these AI SaaS applications at your work. Think of the business data that you could be leaking out. ChatGPT and Microsoft Copilot saw nearly 3.2 million data violations. So there's lots of things AI is good for. There's lots of things AI is bad for. It's time for a modern approach. Zscaler's Zero Trust plus AI. First of all, Zero Trust is brilliant because even if bad guys penetrate your outer defenses, you're still protected. It removes your attack surface. It secures your data everywhere. It safeguards your use of public and private AI as well. Protects against ransomware and AI-powered phishing attacks. It really is a solution everybody needs. Check out what Dr. Chaudhry says about choosing Zscaler for Seattle Children's Hospital.
We selected Zscaler because it was a very good total cost of ownership, good relationship management, and the ability for Zscaler to bring in business professionals that understood healthcare. It was a solid partnership to get us to where we needed to be, literally within days. And it's important because we're dealing with people's lives.
With Zero Trust plus AI, you can thrive in the AI era. You can stay ahead of the competition. You can use AI beneficially. You can protect yourself and remain resilient even as threats and risks evolve. Learn more at zscaler.com/security. That's zscaler.com/security. I thank him so much for supporting This Week in Tech. Tesla, here's good news, has debuted a robo-taxi, steering wheel-less robo-taxi for two. The Cybercab, a two-seater electric vehicle designed, and it has no steering wheel. They unveiled it at Austin. Not sure where it's going to be. It's priced at $30,000, under $30,000 for fleet operators, so it's very affordable. Promises to slash urban transport costs by up to 40%.
So my question is, what's the difference between this and when they announced it last year? Did they just
Good question.
I don't know.
There's no steering wheel in this one.
Well, there wasn't in the one.
The robo-taxi didn't have a steering wheel either?
No.
No, it was the same thing. So I'm like, did I miss something? I don't know.
They're going to keep announcing it till they can get it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what they do, right? That's like a famous Tesla. They always early announce.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. It's the Theranos strategy. Just name it.
That's a great strategy.
Build it.
Well, then maybe, and this is a CNET story from one Abrar Al-Hidi. You don't want to wait for your DoorDash to arrive via Tesla Robotaxi.
There's Waymo.
Oh, it's Waymo too. Okay. Yeah. DoorDash and Waymo are teaming up. Waymo at least is operating.
Yes.
I love Waymos.
I love Waymos too.
They're so great.
I know.
Yeah, they're incredible.
Because you don't have to talk to the driver.
Exactly.
Is that
play whatever music you want, as loud as you want.
Yep, that's exactly what I like.
Rock out.
In San Francisco, there's a whole thing of people having sex in them.
Oh,
that's like the punk rock thing to do, is to go and
why wouldn't you?
Well,
there's cameras,
the 30 internal cameras,
microphones.
I was alive when cabs were here, and I was dating. There was a complicated time in the back of cabs. Yeah, I feel like this is nothing new. It's like now there's just no weird cabbie that has to awkwardly clean up after you. It's just now some poor tech worker.
I mean, it's true. I feel like Uber drivers are always like, people act like we're not here. Like, so I guess there is actually no one.
Yeah, I feel bad. I know it's really terrible. Really.
But in that same back of the car, your food can now be delivered via Waymo.
Just now, here's a question. Have you ever gotten into a Waymo that has been less than clean?
No, not me. How about you?
Okay.
Sounds like
I've heard this happen before. I've heard of a friend got in one that was messed up, but then they just hit the button and they were like, "Do you want to pull over and get a new one, or do you want to?" And they were just like, "No, it's not that bad. Just want to let you know." And they just went on the way. But it was like,
I'll just sit on this side of the seat.
I think it was just very quickly handled.
Yeah.
So many cars. They'll send another one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is going to start in Phoenix, not where you guys are, but. I've never ridden in a Waymo. I see them every time I'm in San Francisco. You see them everywhere.
They're incredible. It's like the best invention ever.
I feel like Jacob's not sold. I feel like you have a story.
Well, I don't know. You know me. I can ruin any topic here, but in my case,
I always thought you were cheerful.
Come rain on our parade.
I know.
Debbie
I actually am a big. So I will say, I think generally speaking, like deaths on roads are so there are so many. Right? It's guns, cancer, and cars kill the most Americans, right? So
So if we just automate those,
I'm all for it. Like, in a sense, I do think that this is a thing that human beings shouldn't be driving themselves. I do think that that is the case. But what I don't like I like solving for that, right? Less death. I like solving for that. I don't like for not paying people to deliver food.
Totally.
Right. I don't like solving for not having to pay drivers.
Right.
In India, they have banned this technology entirely because so many people make their living as a driver.
Right.
And they recognize that it will decimate that country. And we didn't even, during our AI conversation, we didn't even get to the fact that like knowledge workers, in India, right, your call center people, your outsourced, skilled labor, those people are about to be decimated. That country is going to be economically decimated by this stuff. So anyway, solving for the cost savings, I don't like. Solving for less death, I'm all for. So that's the distinction I draw.
Yeah, there's good and bad and all. But what's really interesting is, so Lyft has a partnership with Waymo now, but they still have Lyft vehicles that have like on the side it'll say a car with a human driver and everything. And I'm like, maybe you should stop advertising that.
I wonder. There's a calendar reminder internally at Lyft that's like, stop distributing.
Don't mention that anymore.
Yep.
Huh. I feel like, okay, but yeah.
Which part is confusing, Leo?
Yeah, what are we thinking about?
The whole thing.
We're there.
The whole thing is extremely confusing.
Here's the one thing here's a weird. So back in 2007, I think I wrote a piece for Popular Science about how I thought, robot cars would be a really good thing in terms of a life-saving thing. But one thing that many people made the point to me about was that you got to treat them like vaccines, where everyone's got to be in one for them to save lives. And so, Leo, you in your, awesome Trans Am will screw up everything.
That was my 12-year-old daughter's.
So whoever insists on driving themselves will screw up the herd immunity.
Oh, yeah, the problem.
And so that's talk about it. Like we've been talking a lot about, like what's the nanny state situation. It will become
no more driving your own car.
Right. I think there might be. I've been playing around with a little like Instagram.
Private car ownership is actually horrific for the environment.
That's right.
For safety, for everything, pedestrian deaths.
But there will come but can you imagine the United States being like, you can't drive your own car anymore?
Oh, never. That won't happen here.
Have you guys read the book? What is it called? I forgot. Is it Civil War? No.
They're all called Civil War at this point, I feel like.
Yeah. There's a book about the U.S. banning cars.
Oh, I can't imagine what that would be like.
It causing a civil war.
Flames. Gunfire, totally.
American War. My bad.
But that's just like
very good.
That would be. There are a third rail of American politics. Nobody's going to go there because they know that's the American way. Right. That's freedom.
It's the true tragedy of the commons, right? Because it is, us all driving our own car makes, is a nightmare. I was talking to a guy like 10 years ago who developed apartment complexes, and at that time they were trying. They were doing the math on what it will be to have an apartment complex with only 6 parking spaces and a shared pool of self-driving vehicles that the people living there get.
It'd be so awesome
for themselves.
It'd be awesome.
It'd be just what you needed, but nope.
Well, I mean, you could make it, when we talk about environmental impact of AI and, how we're going down this bad road and so forth, we made that decision 100 years ago when we decided to do internal combustion engines and build cities around them and build the country around them and give everybody one or two. And it just was inevitable. But it's so, it's so entrenched now. We're kind of stuck with it.
Well, it's like it'll be a market thing. I mean, one thing we do know, right, is that young people have much less interest in learning to drive. Yeah. They care about it way less than they used to.
That's true.
Right? I mean, Abrar, you said you don't.
That's because they have social media.
No. Are you a New Yorker and as a result you don't need one, or
so I had one when I was in Illinois, but when I moved out here to the Bay, I just take BART. So it's really just a matter of convenience. But most people my age do have cars, which surprised me because I was like, oh, we're in a place where you just take public transportation. But no, but then you go to that, one generation below and like nobody even wants it. I remember I was dying to get my license at 16. Like the second I could go, I was at the DMV. Like I was so excited.
Yeah, my daughter was like that. And my son, who's 2 years younger, couldn't have cared less. He waited till he was 18.
Yeah. I think that's a really common thing. And young people are driving the car longer and longer and longer. They don't care about buying a new one.
Good.
Right? Which is the other thing.
That's good.
Because that's the other thing, when and if they're all self-driving, you're not going to care what it looks like. Exactly. You don't care how sexy the bus looks.
Yeah.
Well, you might.
Care. I mean, maybe.
I care deeply.
Really aesthetic. Yeah. That's right. That's right.
One more break, and then we're gonna finish it up with a few little tidbits. Other news that involves beheaded figurines.
Oh boy.
But we will save that for just a moment. Jacob Word is here. Great to have you, Jacob. I really appreciate you've recently joined our Tech News Weekly, and that's such a wonderful thing to have you. His Rip Current, a look at the invisible forces changing our lives from authoritarianism to addiction to the psychological dangers of AI. Wow. Are you happy, independent? Are you glad you did that?
I love doing it intellectually, but I'm going to need some money.
Financially, it's tough.
Yeah,
I know.
I'm going to require some money. So yeah, anybody listening here, if you need, I would love to talk to you about it. Some advisory roles, because the independent thing is great. It is a tremendous amount of freedom, but I think that there's a lot of people. I don't think it's going to be the solution to defending democracy. I don't think everybody trying to stay afloat in the attention economy is going to be a way for us to hold people to account.
I understand what you're saying, but I also worry about the mainstream media. Look what's happened to CBS.
Yeah.
Barry Weiss, the editor-in-chief of CBS. Look what's happened with the FCC putting its thumb on the scales. I feel like there's some advantage to being independent, unregulated media, that may be the last place we can find real information.
Yeah, I'm with that in theory, but I also think
financially it's a problem. I understand.
Financially it's a problem, and Barry Weiss putting her thumb on the scales at CBS is a big shift. But I will say, you want to see thumbs and scales, you follow your average YouTuber, your average blogger, right?
Well, that's a good point too.
Where there's no one around telling them what.
Right.
So,
that's a really good.
Did you interview the other side?
Yeah, I've been complaining about that for a while, or just even advertisers, unidentified advertising and product placement stuff. Yeah, that's a very good point. Abrar Al-Heedi's still working for mainstream media. She's at CNET. Did CNET get purchased or something?
I was going to say we're no longer under CBS for several years now, and I'm like, I guess that worked out.
Aren't you glad Barry Weiss is not coming and knocking?
They were really playing along there. So yeah, now we're under Ziff Davis. So I'd say we're happy there. I am.
Yeah.
So
yeah, good.
It's a better fit than
good.
What Red Ventures was.
Well, as long as the thing that gives me hope, even at CBS, as long as there are people like you. People who really care, who have integrity, doing the work.
Yeah.
Management can change. Management can have its initiatives. But as long as people care,
yes,
that's going to make a difference.
That's exactly right. The people making the decisions, creating the content, that's what really matters.
Right.
There's a lot of really passionate people at every news org that, will keep it afloat in that way. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel very fortunate that and CNET should too, that we have you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Abrar.
Very kind.
Yeah. And Harper Reed, who is in the private sector.
Yeah, I'm definitely in the private sector. I don't think someone once said, "Why didn't you go to the White House?" And I was just like, "Are you?" Let's just
because W took all the keys, man.
It wasn't like that wasn't A, offered, and B, I don't think that's my vibe.
Yeah. Well, anyway, yeah. I think that would be very hard, and culturally, just culturally, very.
Yeah, I don't own a suit.
Right. The use of psychedelics there is probably minimal.
Well, I mean, I never use psychedelics, but your agents should. I'm personally not. I don't really imbibe, and so it's very nice to have my agent do it for me, like they do all my fiction writing as well.
Oh, well, there you go.
I'm just kidding. I don't write fiction.
But if you did,
if I did, I have a very strong rule that all my blog posts, everything I have to write myself.
I know it always says
really uncomfortable.
But it's confusing to me because it says like 98% written by.
Well, because I use spell check and everyone around me is pedantic.
Oh, that's okay. Spell check.
So everyone will be like, "But did you use spell check?" And I'll be like, "Well, yes."
We'll really crack down on that.
That's a lookup table.
No, but it's mostly.
Break.
Imagine you said, "I don't use any AI," and then someone's going to say, "But did you use this?" And you're like, "Well, yeah." So
I would never
and probably I Googled something and Google's using
that's
AI
like
and probably.
you have problems with this. Well, you are part of civilization.
Yeah. So this is why I say this post was 98% written by a human because I figured that's an approximate.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's all you need to know.
And then there is one post that is completely generated by AI.
Is it marked that way?
Yeah, it is. It is. I even told you how I generated it.
Which one is that?
But this is something I say, this is a good reminder that if you get an email from someone and the writing is perfect and has no affectations, and AI probably wrote it.
Right.
Like this post is basically just like, you're like, this is a perfectly written post with no grammar issues at all. And you're like,
Some of us are grammar nerds, okay?
Okay.
Yeah, well, everything I read of yours, I think it's AI generated. I'm sorry.
We're going to have to start making intentional mistakes.
I know. I'm going to have to
But AI will figure that out and it'll start making intentional mistakes. I honestly think we're very close to, if not already at the point where you just can't tell. I mean, Sora is that good. I mean, look at the guy walking on the moon behind you, Jacob. I mean, obviously that's AI because nobody did that in that outfit.
That's me last week.
Oh, it's you. Okay, never mind. But most of the time, you can't tell.
Yeah.
Unless he's tripping and farting all the time, you can't tell.
Yeah, this is why we all need our little tells. I think it's hilarious. I actually turned off the tripping and farting and just made that so my clothes are more and more ridiculous. And I showed it to a friend and he said, "Isn't that how you dress?"
Oh.
And I was like,
we talked about this before the show, so I better fill in people. We're talking about the Sora video generation, the social app that Meta released to great fanfare. Where
OpenAI, not Meta.
Oh, sorry. OpenAI. Meta has its own thing, but this is
without any. The one thing that I will give OpenAI is they did release something with like a vibe, whereas everything Meta released for somehow is devoid of vibe.
It's like Mark. Yeah. And Meta has a mixture of real posts and AI posts. And the whole point of Sora, OpenAI says, is you just know it's all AI. It has to be. Yeah. So you create your own cameo, which is an image of you. I put mine available to the public. Harper has not done that. But Harper gave me a very handy tip. You can, in the preferences, and iJustine did this. I was wondering why every time you see iJustine, she's got a little pet pig. She did that. So Harper used to have in his commands that he should always be tripping a lot and passing gas. And I think that's quite funny in a lot of the videos of you. It's funny. So I've done a little Easter egg in mine, and we'll see if people notice.
I did generate a video of us.
Oh.
Did you?
Oh, I did.
All right. You're going to share it with the class? Or?
I don't know how to share things. I just know how to generate things.
Just generate them. Don't share them.
Just generate. It's live. You can go see it on Sora.
On Sora. Okay. And if you were in our Club Twit Discord, are you in our Club Twit Discord? I will send you an invite. You probably don't have time, but if you were, you could just post it there. Jacob, by the way, I should mention, we're going to have a lot of fun on Friday, right?
I'm excited. We're playing Dungeons and Dragons.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
It's one thing to talk to you nice people for 3 hours. It's another thing to be the head-butting half-orc I get to be for 3 hours.
Is that what you decided on as a head-butting half-orc?
Everybody else wants to be a magician. I want to like, crush skulls and kick doors through and stuff like that.
Well, good. We need somebody in the party that's like that. Micah Sargent's going to be the dungeon master.
Party.
Jacob's going to be there. Paul Thurrott, Jonathan Bennett from the Untitled Linux Show, Paris Martineau from Intelligent Machines. I'm going to be there. I'm a bard because I thought, well, a bard is kind of what I am anyway. I think my name is Sagbottom the Cheerful, and I have charisma. And I can play the bagpipes.
I love the idea of you in the rafters as the rest of us are getting our asses kicked, strumming on a lute.
I'm watching the party get murdered.
You're doing great, everyone.
That's exactly what I'm going to do. Anyway, this is going to be a lot of fun. If you're in the club, it starts at 2 p.m. Pacific, Friday, October 24th. We anticipate a 3-hour cruise. So, bring lunch. Should be a lot of fun. Micah Sargent will be the dungeon master. He's putting this all together. And this is one of the many reasons you want to be in the club. Partly because we do fun things, partly because you support what we do with your contribution, your $10 a month subscription. You also get ad-free versions of all the shows. We try to give you some benefits and access to the club, to a Discord, which is just a great place to hang out. If you're not a member of the club, please consider joining it. We really we need your support. This is what keeps us independent. It's what keeps us able to do what we do, and we're very grateful. twit.tv/clubtwit if you're not yet a member. Please join. And we'll see you on Friday. I can't wait, Jacob. I wouldn't have thought this, but you have a experience with this stuff.
Yeah. I did an alarmingly long portion of my childhood, much later in life than I think probably I would like to talk about here. But I then got to pick it back up again with my daughter. I'm part of a dads and daughters Dragons group every week. Yeah, we rip around, and the most fun thing was creating the partners, because we were joining an existing group, so we needed to come up with a whole story for why we got together. And my daughter, who insisted on being this kind of very spooky half demon child sort of thing that gets us into trouble anywhere we go. And me as this sort of big dummy, she's master, I'm blaster, was sort of our shtick. And to sit together and come up with how were we both orphaned and then brought together, man, it brings tears to my eyes. It was a cool thing. Cool. Highly recommended for the parents in the audience. See if you can get into a D&D.
And is it a virtual one, or do you go down somewhere?
No, we physically get together. There's this nice friend of mine, tech executive guy who, shows up with he's got maps made.
I think that makes it even better, to be honest.
It's so cool.
Yeah.
It's so cool. And it's just such a because, as any parent knows, there's a point past which your kid feels it's no longer cool to play pretend. And it's tragic because suddenly they then feel this incredible pressure to like Taylor Swift and be cool in these various ways. And any kid in private will tell you that's boring. I miss playing, and this is one of these, this and filmmaking and theater, right, are your ways of continuing to make stuff up.
I love that.
Yes. And it's socially acceptable.
What a great idea.
Is a great thing.
You can do what I do and just live in a fantasy land yourself. That helps. If you are rooted in fantasy and not in reality, it's definitely a little easier.
Yeah.
I'm trying to channel my inner Harper. It's hard to keep it going, though.
It's not easy. Well, we'll see you. I can't wait, Jacob. It's going to be a lot of fun. I guess I'm just going to be singing along as you guys get slaughtered in the caverns or whatever. Our D&D adventure begins 2 p.m. Pacific on Friday. We will see you there. This episode of This Week in Tech brought to you by Zapier. Oh, man, I love Zapier. This is a way to get a little AI into your life without being an AI guru like Harper. Everybody these days is talking about AI. I mean, we spend half the show talking about it. And talking about trends, though, doesn't help you be more efficient at work. For that, you need the right tools. Now, for years, I have used Zapier. Zapier connects all of the tools I use together for workflows. For instance, when I bookmark a story that I'm interested in, it's automatically uploaded to my Mastodon instance. It's automatically, I toot it, or actually Zapier toots it. Zapier also copies it to a spreadsheet that the producers can then use to put the shows together. It's just a really easy way to get things done. Well, Zapier is how you break the hype cycle and put AI to work across your company, because they've added AI. You can now deliver on your AI strategy, not just talk about it. Zapier has become an AI orchestration platform. So along with, Google Docs and Monday and whatever you use, you can also bring the power of AI to those workflows. So I could have, for instance, AI analyze the stories that I've bookmarked and give me a summary. You can connect all the top AI models, ChatGPT, Claude, to the tools your team already uses. You can add AI into the workflows wherever you need it. You can even create AI-powered workflows. You can make an autonomous agent, a customer chatbot. You can do anything, really. Zapier's always been great for that, and now you can orchestrate it with AI with Zapier. Zapier doesn't require a PhD in computer science. It's for everyone, tech expert or not. And I'll tell you how you know teams have already automated over 300 million AI tasks using Zapier. Join the millions of businesses transforming how they work with Zapier and AI. Get started for free by visiting zapier.com/twit. That's zapier.com/twit. We thank Zapier so much for supporting This Week in Tech. We're going to wrap it up. Just a couple of quick stories. I know you've got to get going, Jacob. Probably have a D&D date with your daughter.
I got to pick up my half-demon child. I'm sorry.
I mentioned that the Zipper is getting its first major upgrade in 100 years. I did not know this, but YKK, a Japanese company, makes almost half of all the zippers in your clothing.
I think if you looked right now on any zippers you've got on you, it's probably YKK.
It'll have YKK on it, right?
That company is. Yeah.
So you'll also see, if you look at a zipper, that it is, the metal teeth, the pull, but also there's a backing, a fabric backing. Mm-hmm. They have apparently figured out how to eliminate the fabric tapes, which means that their new airy string zipper is more flexible, is lighter, is simpler, does require some special clothing to kind of weld it into your fabrics. They have special sewing machines from the Juki company. So they've reinvented the zipper. Now, you may say, this is a technology show. Leo, why are you talking about zippers? Well, I always think of zippers as one of the early technologies. If all you had was buttons, the zipper would change your life. And it did. I don't know when it was invented. It wasn't that long ago. I think maybe 150 years ago, something like that. So get ready.
It's one of those ones like I was just going to say, it's one of those things like a bicycle where you're just like, there's no way you could possibly improve on that.
Right.
Like you've just done it.
Yeah.
What I like about YKK is that they were part of a worldwide price fixing cartel for zippers.
The zipper price fixing.
The zipper price fixing cartel.
Big Zipper.
Big Zipper, man. Keeping the prices high. There's going to be a movie with Matt Damon in it about that.
Look for Big Zipper. And then finally, I did mention there would be decapitated figurines. According to the New York Times, police have broken up a Lego theft ring and have recovered hundreds of beheaded figurines. There they are. They're the heads on parade.
That's incredible.
In this guy's garage in Lake County, California, which is just up north of Peace. Santa Rosa Police Department busted the guy on Monday. Allegedly, a Lego crime scene. Plastic figurines were everywhere, says the New York Times. Their heads removed from their bodies and organized in neat rows by facial expression. Apparently this guy had stolen a bunch of Lego, had a ring of Lego thieves. Oh. He would purchase them at reduced prices, turn around and resell the sets or individual mini figurines at inflated prices. This is why he was taking the heads off. There's a demand.
What I like about this is that in the Hacker News comments, everyone was like, $6,000 is not that much Lego. Like they just were not impressed with the scale
of the
crime. Yeah, they were just like, I don't understand what the problem is here.
What's clearly it's a dude who just loves Lego. Right? You gotta love.
There are $1,000 Lego sets. So I guess it's probably
the crazy thing about Lego, right? Is their big patents have all expired.
Yeah, that's right.
They used to have the big patent; they've all expired, but they're still the dominant player. Even though you can get knockoff Legos like crazy, people still flock to the real thing. It's kind of one of these lessons in like keep making a high quality product.
What would you call your knockoff Lego?
BOGO.
BOGO.
There was Duplo.
Sticky bricks.
Yes,
sticky bricks. I think you better get Claude to work on that. Give him some powerful,
some drugs.
Powerful.
Claude, you are stoned out of your mind. Give me a Lego, a name
you
for
are
my
way
knockoff
into Lego,
Lego.
Claude.
Yeah, you're way into Lego. I need a name for my knockoff Lego. It's probably going to not have a problem with drugs or creativity, but be like, I can't possibly help you knock off a famous brand.
Probably, you're right. That's exactly right. No, I'm sorry. That's one thing I can't do. Harper Reed's blog is harper.blog. His website is harper.lol. his company is doing this new bot thing. If you've got it's a MCP for AIs, they can have their own social network. Find out more at 2389.ai. And it is now full dark in beautiful Chicago.
It is. The vampires are out. Halloween is starting. It's exciting out here.
We're going to let Harper take off with his little stoned clod, tripping and farting his way.
I'm glad that this is my twit legacy for this October day.
Thank you, Harper. Great to see you. Abrar Al-Hidi, great to see you. It's wonderful. She'll be on Tech News Weekly soon, of course. Not soon enough. We'll get you back here soon, too, I hope. Senior Technology Reporter at CNET. Always a pleasure.
Lots of laughs, as always. Appreciate it.
Jacob Ward, the Demon Hunter. JacobWard.com, theripcurrent.com. You know what? Do you have subscriptions, right?
I do, yeah. So subscribers get early access to the podcast. They get some behind-the-scenes features. There's some extra stuff that comes your way at theripcurrent.com.
The podcast is incredible. You should absolutely support Mr. Ward so that he can remain independent, continue doing what he's doing.
Well, the dirty little secret of my podcast, Leo, is that half the time I just grab somebody that I met through you. So I got Molly White.
Molly's great.
Paris has been on there. Yeah,
great.
like I just so I've been following in your wake.
Steal everybody.
Yeah, when I can't get a world famous social scientist, I steal your.
And guests. Apparently, you were on with my old friend Andrew Keene, who. Is a contrarian for some time.
Oh man, he slapped me around good when my book came out. He was like, he gave me the full he was just BBC jealous. Slap around. Yeah, but then I came back on with him about a week ago, and we had a nice we repaired. It was really nice.
Aw, Jacob, everybody should subscribe to the Rip Current, and thank you so much for being here. We'll see you on Tech News Weekly as well. Jacob Ward.
Appreciate it.
.com. Now go be with your family. We thank everybody for being here. You go be with your family too. We do Twit every Sunday afternoon. It goes on and on. I know 2 to 5 p.m. Pacific. That's 5 to 8 p.m. Eastern time, 2100 UTC. You can watch live on in the Club Twit Discord if you're a club member, and please join the club. We really want to have you in there. Otherwise, we do it on YouTube, Twitch, X.com, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Kick. We don't do TikTok anymore. They made it too hard. So, but I figure 6 other platforms is plenty. After the fact, you can download audio or video of the show at twit.tv, our website. There's also a YouTube channel with the video. Best thing to do, subscribe. That way you'll get it automatically the minute it's available. And if you do subscribe, leave us a nice review. Give us the 5-star treatment, will you? Let everybody know. We've been doing it for 20 years, and after a while, people, it's not the hot new thing, but I think it's worth listening to. And if you think so, share it with your friends. Let them know. Thank you so much for being here. Thanks to our club members for making it possible. Thanks to Jacob and Abrar and Harper, and thanks to you. We'll see you next time. And as I've said for 20 years now, another Twit is in the can. Bye-bye.
This is amazing.